Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority. It is June 18, 2018. Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Here.
Gilbert. Here. Franklin.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Morrell.
Here.
Stroller. Johnson.
Here. I do declare a quorum. This evening from the corner of 7th and Fur, the First Baptist Church, is Reverend Kim Hayes to give our invocation this evening.
Always a privilege and thankful that we get to open up the community time together. So let me pray with you. Father God, thank you so much for these that serve on this council. God, to make many decisions, and I pray that as they seek wisdom and direction, and Father, that you would lead and guide them. And also we're thankful for that, the opportunity that we live in a community where we can come together and share ideas and opinions, Father, to have a better community. Father, even right now, as families are hurting in our city, I pray that you would give them peace and comfort, direction, guidance through your Holy Spirit. And Father, tonight, I pray that a great peace would come over this meeting as well. And Father, as we share our ideas and opinions about how to better our community, so grateful for each one that's here. So Father, I just ask you to bless the time together tonight. And Father, may you be lifted up. And we're so grateful again to be able to live in this great city. And we just give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Hayes. Item 1 is the consent agenda. It just is one item to receive and approve the minutes of our last PMA meeting. So I have a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. That'll move us down to item 4, comments from those assembled concerning the PMA. Anyone have any items on the PMA we need to discuss? Comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, which is proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Authority, staff. Thank you. Now we'll move on to recess this meeting to begin our council meeting. Do I have a motion to recess?
Motion to recess. Second.
Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. I call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry. It is June 18, 2018. Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Here.
Gilbert.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Seabolt.
Here.
Morrell.
Here.
Stroller. Johnson.
Here. First item is the consent agenda, items A through I. I hope you've gone through those prior to the meeting. Do I have a motion, or do you want to discuss any one item separately?
Move approval, A through I.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled. Comments from those assembled.
I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to hear back in this corner of the room.
Yeah, if you guys speak up, we can't hear what's going on.
Okay, sorry. We're at item 4, comments from those assembled. I will let you know that when we consider the budget, there will be a time there for also some input.
Just so everybody knows, not everybody got an agenda, so they didn't get one.
Okay. Again, I call for comments from those assembled.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Shelley.
Item 4, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries for the governing body. Council, staff? Seeing none, I'm going to alter the agenda a little bit. We're going to item 13 because there are some interested parties and they don't need to spend the night with us. Item 13 has to do with consider approval of an ordinance 2018-10 of the City Council, City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 12, Article 4 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplemental by the amendment of Section 12401 entitled Statutory Authorization, by the amendment of Section 12405 entitled Definitions, by the amendment of Section 12407 entitled Basis of Establishing the Area of Special Flood Hazard, by the amendment of Section 12413 entitled Designation of Floodplain Administrator, by the amendment of Section 12414 entitled Duties and Responsibilities of the Floodplain Administrator, by the amendment of Sections 12418 entitled Design Standards, by the addition of a new Section 12421 entitled Floodways, by the addition of new Section 12422 entitled Severability, and the addition of new Section 12423 entitled Oklahoma Floodplain Management Fee Schedule, by the addition of a new Section 425 entitled Certification of Adoption, Repealer, Savings, Codification, Severability, Penalty, and Declaring an Emergency. The background is there, the new maps from the FEMA office that designates floodways in the city of Perry. They've studied them, they've mapped them, and we're adopting them tonight. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Dixon.
Kohler. Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. And then item,
Emergency.
oh, I'm sorry, declared emergency.
Motion on emergency.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. Sorry. Roll call, Dixon.
Kohler.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, thank you. We're going to take item 20 and process it now. You can turn back. Received recommendation from the Planning Commission to consider approval of ordinance 2018-13, the City Council, City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 12 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplemental, by the addition of a new section 12.510 entitled Sign Regulation as part of a site plan review process, and by the addition of a new section 11 to section 12.286E, making signs a design standard under site plan review process and permitting special exemptions to the sign ordinance provided required notice is given, application criteria, and using and making of a discretionary design or decision, and the responsible with reasonable conditions and warranted the decision of memorializing in writing, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, and declaring emergency. Sorry about that, folks. I got too dry to talk. Have you read the background on this, council? Any questions, comments, concerns? Do I have a motion?
Hang on. David, do you have anything to say?
Well, as you're aware, the planning commission met prior to this meeting to address this. There was no recommendation either way from the planning commission. There was a motion made to adopt it. The motion died for lack of a second.
Okay.
So it goes to you all to deal with however you want to deal with it. Do you have any questions about what it is?
And why didn't you have a second?
I'm not sure. Mr. Chairman, do you have an answer for why there was?
There were two members of the commission that failed to make a second for the issue. They didn't feel like it was the right thing to do to make special changes for special situations. This would give more rapid response for an application for deviations from standard code on signage.
What this does is move the sign review to the site plan review. Instead of making it 2 issues, it includes things like sign lighting. It puts it with the other site lighting, and other considerations that are looked at during the site plan review. So it would move the signage part to the site plan review. And it doesn't change the rules for signs, but it does give some latitude, provided the reasons are given in writing as to why there would be alterations or forgiveness given to size, location, or lighting, or whatever. So
It failed at the planning.
it
Well,
failed
no
to get,
recommendation.
no recommendation either way.
The bigger picture is this. For as long as I've been here, 32 years, we haven't really done special exceptions in our code. State law lets you do special exceptions. There's a whole statute on special exceptions, and that is a proper zoning technique. We haven't done that. I can't really tell you why. It's just it wasn't in our code, and we've never really addressed, the planning commission being able to consider special exceptions. We've always used the Board of Adjustment to do special exceptions to provisions in the code. So although this would be our first special exception procedure that we've ever adopted. Many cities have a whole series of them, and they really never go to the Board of Adjustment, okay? And I really think there are absolute times that things ought to go to the Board of Adjustment. There are rules, and the Planning Commission and the City Council should uphold the rules, okay? However, the law says that if you have a carefully written special exception and you invite the public and you hear, the pros and the cons, and there's a specific set of variables that you're supposed to consider, then the Planning Commission can make a recommendation which would make a special exception to a rule. Okay, where at the current time, and for the 32 years I've been here, it's only ever gone to the Board of Adjustment. And so this one says, if you have, we have certain sign regulations, and sign regulations have restrictions on height and on size and on lighting and on lots of issues, okay? And we're just talking about one issue. And so if you wanted to deviate for that in the past, you would go to the Board of Adjustment. And there'd be notice, and the public would, be invited, and the Board of Adjustment would decide that answer. And then if the parties didn't like that answer, they would be litigating in district court, because it doesn't come to us. What this says is on an issue like that we're going to provide, this ordinance provides a procedure for signs, and only for signs, if the sign application is made as a part of a site plan review application, that the Planning Commission can consider that under the terms of this and under the specific conditions that are under this, and the Planning Commission could recommend exceptions to the sign ordinance back up to the City Council. We could actually, if this works, or if you like it, there are other exceptions that you could do. Let me give you one that comes up in mind immediately, and that is, Jim, carports, right?
Yep.
Carports. That might be another one, Now, not to the mayor, because he's the surveyor, and he knows, but that's another one where you wouldn't have to go to the Board of Adjustment, and we've heard enough of those. In Enid, I hear them do that on sidewalks. They have a sidewalk regulation that says that you have to put in sidewalks on each new development, and it has to be in front of your place. Well, you go to one of their meetings, and it's like, there's like 6 applications for special exceptions because the folks don't want to do it, because it's not connecting anything, you know? And so they give the special reasons, and the planning commission has considered it comes to the city council. Now, as we all know, someone has made an application, or will make an application, for a special exception to the sign ordinance. But this really was, and so, it is going to, and it'll be the first one that's heard. And it has to do with the new economic development that's coming to town. But that is not this discussion. This discussion is, do you want to have, allow yourself to start special exceptions where the planning commission, with recommendation to them, the city council could make a special exception to a rule rather than go to the planning commission. So this has been, I wrote it, so it's been carefully written, kind of taking all the stuff in state law and taking some variables that I think are appropriate. And this would be like your first one. If it works, you may want to or not move it to carports. And some of the other things that the public, routinely have to pay, a whole lot of money. Remember, a site plan is much cheaper. There's a notice posted, but there's not publication. There's not mailing out letters. There's not all that. But there's a site plan. There's a site, big, sign planted. And if you're interested, you go over and read, well, what's happening there. So that's what this ordinance is.
I think one of the reasons why there's a few of us that didn't like that was because when you make an exception for one person, you've got to make it for everybody. And I know what you all are talking about a big tall sign, 90-foot sign. If you make that exception for a 90-foot sign, I want a 90-foot sign. She wants a 90-foot sign, and she wants a 90-foot sign. Where do you stop? And that's why it should be going through
Board of Adjustment.
more than one place, yes.
Right.
We have a balance there.
Well, few of us could actually afford a 90-foot sign, but, it really has to be associated with some major, business, because I'm sure a 90-foot sign costs as much as a house. But your point is, and that's the whole issue, and I'll say that's the whole issue here. We have never had special exceptions here, but it seemed like, we've been talking about it. We've been talking about it, and we've been talking about it with respect to those carports particularly. This just presented an opportunity, and the other thing is, let's face it, in this instance, the decision of the city council is the final decision. And if you want an appeal there, it goes to the district court from there. So that's important, and of course, you are the representatives from the public, the folks from the public, and that, of course, is a very important part of this ordinance.
I think what bothers, if I may speak, what bothers me is it's for a specific thing, downtown, a 90-foot sign. Why can't you just let them go through the regular process like everybody else has to?
Well, it can't be for a specific thing. That would be specific legislation. I mean, it is for sign applications. There does happen to be somebody that wants a 90-foot sign. There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room that's not here, but that is true. That is true. But it is for sign regulation. It's for all sign regulation.
And in the future, be applied to other things to expedite the process of getting approvals.
But you could do that anyway. I mean, you could have Bryce put in whenever you have a site plan, that you want the signage put in there. And then you don't have to do it. I mean, you don't have to deal with that.
What this specifically says is that during a site plan review is when that issue will be covered with special signage.
I'm just saying, you don't have to make it into a,
Well, no, you actually
Legally, you
do.
have to.
No, you
Yeah.
actually do,
Make it
because,
legal.
because you have to set out, I mean, the conditions are set out in the, set out specifically in the ordinance, the findings that have to be made.
Well,
You,
I
you-
just-
what you can't do is you can't say, the city council can decide something different anytime they want. I mean, that's,
well, the problem that
that's not allowed.
bothers me, I don't mind the sign ordinances. We have them there for a certain reason, but to give it to the planning commission to change it or to accept it is what bothers me.
Well, to recommend an
Even-
acceptance to the city council, then the city council would implement the exception to the sign ordinance.
And then-
Or, and of course, you can go either way. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing in this ordinance that stops the applicant from not going to the Board of Adjustment.
That's
This
right.
is just an option.
Yeah, and so they can appeal to the Board of Adjustments if the planning commission decides that they don't push it on or vote it down. The city council can still vote on it.
No, there's gonna be, this does
We
not
only
approve, this does not approve the sign.
No, it doesn't approve the sign.
Yeah, I
all
mean,
it does
there's
is
gonna have to
approve
be
the
a hearing on
process.
that.
Yeah.
But generally, if the planning commission approves it, you will approve it.
Didn't we do a similar thing on paving? There was always a question about what is hard surface.
Yes, we did that, yes, we did that. In fact, I've looked at that for another community just the other day. It had to do
Put
with,
some language in there that gave the planning commission and council a little latitude on deciding what was appropriate for the specific application.
yes, we did.
This would be very similar to that.
It's similar to that. It's just accepting, yeah, that was accepting the hard surface requirement. This is accepting the sign ordinance, which quite frankly was adopted, it would, I adopted it from a model international code. Okay, there's a model, it was nothing special written for Perry, it's a modern international code that we've adopted. And we have found that sometimes that modern international code doesn't fit the application inside of our community, so.
Bryce, if I understand this right, this actually provides some flexibility as to which way the system has to go, doesn't it?
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can put conditions, in your order here, where with a Board of Adjustment, you have to find the criteria of unnecessary hardship. There are certain criteria, but there's not really the ability to put conditions in there. And if you broaden it to other things, you can stick conditions, and it's all based on enabling state statute. We have just never done it.
The flexibility appeals to me, so therefore I move approval of ordinance 2018-13, or 2018-13.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on the board? Roll call, Dixie.
Colbert,
Yes.
Gilbreth,
No.
Franklin,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Seabolt,
Yes.
Morrell,
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
Well, we only have 6, so we can't declare an emergency. Oh, no, well, let's go ahead and vote on the emergency. I mean, you may vote the same way, but sometimes
We
you
declare
don't.
emergency.
Someone want to
Yeah,
declare
motion.
one?
Motion to declare emergency. Bryce, go ahead. By declaring the emergency,
It
the
becomes-
biggest part we do is save the cost of having to publish the item that has already passed.
Yeah, and it does become
And it
immediately
becomes
effective.
immediately effective, but I look at it from the.
I mean, I will tell you from a
We
developer
don't have to go
standpoint,
spend
I mean, we
the cost
we
to
could not
develop.
move this application forward if the emergency doesn't pass.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Dixie.
Color.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Morrow.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your input. Okay, we are back to item 6. We're back in order now with item 6.
I'll make this real fast. Long night ahead of us here. Just wanted to tell you that Senators Inhofe and Langford stopped by our airport, had a very good visit out there while they were getting ready for their presentation that night. You know, in Oklahoma, aviation and aerospace industry is the second largest industry in the state. So it's important that when they came out, that they had a good relationship with our airport manager and our staff and felt welcome. So we're excited about that. This past weekend, we had the Memorial Foundation Tournament, had at least 26 teams. I drove up there early Saturday morning. Cars were everywhere. And then a little bit later in the morning, I drove back out there, cars everywhere. Everybody having a good time. Good crowds out there. Drove back to the house by McDonald's. McDonald's drive-through was all the way out to Fur. Not a parking place around. Next to Brahms, of course, now with their remodel, they have a little bit more. They can put more cars in there, so they were starting to get out to Fur. So we had teams from Texas, from Kansas, from Oklahoma City, from Tulsa. Obviously, the folks from Texas stayed in our hotels, ate at our restaurants, and that's part of the reason. This is not just a baseball field. This is an economic development engine. So we're really excited. And Councilman Franklin mentioned that you had.
I had a
comment.
resident who said that he had talked to several folks who were in town with their kids playing ball, and that this was one of the best maintained, if not the best maintained, venues that they have played on this year. So our kudos to our manager of BMAC and to all of the supporters that go out there and work every weekend, and to the folks in the hotels and the restaurants for doing such a good job helping people who come to our community for recreation. That's what it's all about. That's what BMAC is all about. That's what it needs to continue to be.
Absolutely.
And I'd almost make a motion to add some more. But we won't go there right now.
At the right time. This is not the right time tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Russ will get into that later.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Let's move to item 7, our Chief Financial Officer's report.
I want to make this quick too, because we don't have that much really to talk about. We're coming to the end of the fiscal year. Dollars are wrapping up. We've got some budget amendments coming up tonight. We've got next year's budget to talk about, so you're going to get a whole lot of information in those pieces. A couple of quick things to point out. Sales tax, as of the end of May, we've reached 100% of what we budgeted last year, which is in line with what we expect. We will hopefully see that number continue to go up next month, and so maybe we'll hit that 100% mark. We have budgeted next year's 90% based on a projection off of this, where we expect these dollars to be. So just that of note, hotel motel tax receipts were back up to $17,300 for the month, so that was a good piece. As we talked about, activity in town and things going on is going to hopefully help keep those dollars up, and again, help some overall sales tax dollars come in the community. On the utility side, there's nothing exciting going on that you guys haven't already approved in one-time expenses related to capital outlays that have come through, or those kind of things. We are a little bit down in electric revenue and a little down in sewer revenues for the year, but that's just a consequence of where we are and the watering and things going on. So we will. We've adjusted next year's budget based on those concerns, and kind of built that into the progressing model that we will talk about here in a minute as we talk about budget. So nothing too exciting. I'll answer any questions, but for the most part, we are looking good to finish out the year on the positive side of a budget from where we adopted. So we both should be both in general fund and in PWA as we end the year.
Does that mean that I get my drainage ditch that holds water fixed this year? That I've been trying to get worked on for the last 2 or 3 years better?
That's part of the sewer project,
Yeah.
phase 3.
When's that gonna happen?
Well, whenever they approve phase 3, is that on tonight's agenda?
No.
It's not on tonight's agenda, but we do
It's
have,
only a couple
Where you
but-
live.
but we do have, ma'am, we do have consultants working on that. Phase
Pardon?
3. We do have consultants working on phase 3.
And that
They're
includes
doing plans.
your drainage problem.
And we have a drainage problem on the agenda to be solved,
Yeah,
at a public cost of,
85.
yeah, 85.50. So, I mean, we have, and that was a major one to her, so that's on the agenda for approval tonight. So, I mean, we are working on drainage problems.
Yeah, hers is quite involved, and it is part of the phase 3, and would be corrected as part of phase 3.
I've personally visited that area myself and walked out in the creek, and that is part of will be repaired on a phase 3 sewer plant. Yours and your neighbors, it's
Well,
on
it
the east
wasn't
side.
bad until everybody started filling all of it in, where it had a way out, but everybody started filling everything in.
Okay, we're gonna go take to item 8. Convene into executive session to discuss the fire and police collective bargaining units pursuant to 25 OS 307B2. Need a motion? Wait, hold on, don't go moving yet. Quail needs to stay still. Need a motion?
Motion to convene into executive session.
We have a second. Roll call, Dixie.
Hildern.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Now.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. We're gonna move to item 10. Take any action deemed necessary with regard to collective bargaining negotiations with police and fire.
Yeah, no actions required.
Thank you. Action is we're considering the contract, and we'll be getting back. Item 11. Consider approval of resolution 2018-07 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, approving its 2018-2019 budget and other budgets and appropriating the revenues for stated purposes as contained in the budgets. Directing the city manager and the city clerk to take any and all additional actions that may be required to implement this budget. Before we do this, I want to ask our chief financial officer to present the current budget as we have worked it out in the last month. There's been a lot of give and take and a lot of conversations on this that I think you'll want to hear.
You all have a document in front of you that literally says, second line says fiscal year 2018-19 annual budget. Leads off with our memo. That do not use what was in your packets. This has been revised again today. And that's really what I want to address at this point was kind of the revisions and what has come in this draft of the version that you see in front of you. In previous drafts, we had talked about trying to raise a little over $400,000 in total cost to offset what was going to be our deficit. This budget has changed that number down to $330,000 that needs to be increased in other revenue sources in order to balance the budget. Before, we had talked about a flat 4% across the board increase in utilities. This budget, and that 4% is off the table. We're not asking for that tonight as we look at this. Here is from a revenue enhancement piece. We're looking at increasing the base fees related to our water and our sewer costs. Both of our departments that are struggling to cover their operating costs. Both of the pieces that need additional funding in order to continue to operate where they are. So what we're proposing is an increase in the water base rate of $3.16, an increase in the sewer base rate of $3.71, an increase in the administrative fees of $3, and then the other revenue enhancement comes on our demand, an increase of about 20% in the demand cost calculation for our industrial customers. So the only ones that are going to be affected on that will be industrial customers. The total revenue enhancement from that is $332,000 whenever you run it all out. Now, as always, we don't collect every dollar of those, and there's longs and shorts and everything else. So that number, doing it that way, gets us about as close to $330,000 as we can get. So we say that, and then we have to turn around and say, well, Russ, if you don't need $400,000, what changes were made in the budget, likewise to get us there? Because there were some additional expense cuts that were taken into account to make that happen. On the expense side, we reduced the 15th officer out of the police department. We reduced the airport additional full-time employee that was requested. So we took those two pieces out, along with the $20,000 that was improvements on, you know what, I didn't end up getting that out. No, $20,000 is still in there, sorry. So the $20,000, you'll be happy, City Manager. $20,000 is still in. So those are the two big cuts that came out in order to bring us down and let us balance this budget where it is. If you look at the page 1 of that budget memo, it kind of goes through, we there was proposed capital outlay of about $705,000 in the original request for the general fund. Only $215,000 of those capital requests were actually included in this budget. So almost $500,000 of capital projects that we are not doing in the general fund. The PMA had almost $850,000 worth of requests. We're only doing $125,000 of those requests. So there have been significant reductions in the overall requested numbers versus the overall adopted or presented to you tonight for adoption numbers.
Can you
Is that-
repeat and I'm sorry to interrupt, repeat the base increases again?
Yes. The base increase in water is $3.16. The base increase in sewer is $3.71. And the increase in the administrative fee is $3.
Russ, do you have approximations of what each one of those will generate?
Yes. The water will generate about $92,000. The sewer will generate right at $100,000. The administrative fee will generate about $87,000, almost 88.
Okay, thank you.
And the demand increase will generate about 51,000. And that's how we get to the 330. So as Mr. Franklin had pointed out earlier today, he said, what does that really do to me, you know, as far as my meter that I have, you know, and that has no consumption, has no activity on it, and is running out. It's an increase of $9.87 to him on that meter. So it goes from an $81 base fee to a $90 a month base fee, pretty much for the no service fees. So $9.87 is what we're looking at on those costs.
Mr. Mayor, if I could for 1 second, and just to point out to the audience, because it's very nice to see so many people here, and I know you watch us on TV and on computer when we're on, because we're so interesting. But I did want to tell you, you know, or at least explain to you a little bit how we got here. You know, Walmart leaving was, as it's affected you, it was a huge loss in revenue to the city to the tune of about $300,000 in lost sales tax. And you go, well, you know, I mean, we've had it for as long as I've been here and longer than that, so it's something that we came to count on. Now, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, I'm sure that when it came here, it drove a lot of business out that otherwise was selling. And so I don't know, you know, if it was good or not, but it was something that we really, really enjoyed. But in addition to that, and maybe even more critically, was the, you know, almost loss of our hospital. And I mean, you know, we tried to make it look seamless, but, you know, and we did. We tried to make it look seamless, and it never shut down. But that particular thing is going to, our estimate is 300,000.
An additional 300,000 on top of what we already
Plus
put in.
and that's in addition to the 350 we had to pay. We bought the rest of the property that they owned that the hospital owned in order to take it away from, in order to own it. And lease that because, I mean, the new operator, you know, wanted a lease on all of it, and we wanted it to come from us. On top of that, you've got a $300,000 of potential loss, which is looking more and more like a probability. And on top of that, we have new things every day crop up. Now, it's not as bad as in, for instance, Blackwell, where we had to pass a 1% sales tax that's running for 5 years. In addition to that, it had to issue $7 million in debt to keep their hospital going. But there's a huge amount of money that's going to have to be done. Hopefully, it's a one-time. It's not going to be reoccurring, you know. We've locked Stillwater into a 5-year contract and then it's gonna be 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 thereafter. There's some times when they could give us notice, but we're locked in for 5 years. So we just have to pay these things to keep the hospital open. But that's another huge expense, equal to or greater than Walmart. In addition to that, right now we have economic development opportunities. And I mean, not every day, but very, very often, Russ, Larry, Gordon, we're working on these opportunities, and they're not just pipe dreams. There's hopefully things come. Well, we all know about Seth Wadley, but in addition to that, there's things coming down the pike. We've got to boost that sales tax. We've got to get more jobs and benefits and housing and all of that here, and that all takes money. And no new business that wants to come to town is willing to put out all the cash. They want some assistance from the public, at least in the area of utilities, connections, waiver of fees, and sometimes in sales tax rebates, where you're not getting all the sales tax, you're actually rebating some of it back to the business in order to induce them to come. So, before, and the good news here is there's no increases, at least proposed, in electric, nothing in electric. Water, as I understand it, has always been operating at a loss.
Water has always been at a loss, and has always been subsidized by a sales tax in order to fund the line that comes from Lake McMurtry.
Right. Which there's a payoff date. There's a payoff date on that, 28.
28, yes.
28. So that sales tax runs for
10 more years.
For 10 more years. And we're going to hope to renew it for something. I mean, we've got things to do in this town if we want to move forward. And then sewer, we have spent how many million over the last few years? What?
3.5.
$3.5 million, a big deal in fixing sewer lines, and we had a young lady here just talk about that phase 3. It's actually phase 4, I think.
Phase 4 is what.
I think it's actually phase 4, which I want to get implemented. Is that part of the budget right now?
All of the budget tonight is only dealing with operational expenses. It is not dealing with the expenditure of any of those capital dollars that we have set aside or any of those bonded funds.
Because we
Those
have money for
goals.
those.
Okay.
We've got that. We didn't want to confuse what is operations versus what is already restricted money that we have to do something else with. Tonight is only operational in the approval piece.
But anyway, I want the public to understand the pressures and the problems that we're faced with, what our opportunities are, how we're trying to do it. But nobody likes higher rates, so, have at us, because we certainly understand.
So tonight's budget is, as we get into it and as we look, if you look at page 2 with me, of this document, with the utility rate increases, with the expenses that we have cut out, and with the changes that we have made, right now we're proposing a general fund decrease of about $28,000 for the year, almost $29,000. Our utility fund will lose about $1,100, and the airport fund will lose $77,000. Now, the rest of those restricted funds down below, we don't deem part of operations because they're so restricted. So those, yes, you'll see the 2016 bond fund is going down $1.4 million. That's the capital outlay that we're talking about. You guys, we're not worried about that. That's not operational tonight. That, we're gonna spend that anyhow. Whether we spend it, we're not asking you to commit the exact project tonight because we've got that planning session coming up in July, and we're gonna address a lot of those things at that point. This is only operational. That's why I want you guys to really focus on that general fund and that utility fund whenever we look at it. Whenever you take into account the rest of these pages, we can go through all 26 of them. I don't want to belabor that point with you all unless we need to deal directly in those. And honestly, if council at this point is not at the point where they want to adopt this budget as presented tonight, we've got an option too. And literally, we will go down those numbers one by one and do a cafeteria style plan and pick which ones we want to increase and how we want to fund that, you know. And if we don't have funding for it, then we don't get to add it to the budget. But hopefully you all will recognize the time and the expense and the effort and the work that went in here to get us to this point with a piece that, well, yes, it is a utility rate increase. It is not something we wanted to propose from the beginning, but as we got into the budget, as we looked at what was really there, in order to accomplish the things that we're wanting to accomplish, the only way to do it at this point is to have some utility rate increase. And we've tried to limit that and keep it off of the electric system, which was one of the big caveats that we really went in today and said, all right, if we drop all the electric increases and we drop that piece, what do we have to do to get there? And that's where we came back with the proposals and those rate changes that I gave you just a second ago. So with that, I really would like to first open it to council comments, and then Mayor, it's your choice how we proceed, if it's public comments after that. But council comments for sure, or questions or concerns we can answer on that.
Start over here with you, Mike. Do you have any concerns?
Any increase is a concern. This is much better than what we had been seeing. I wasn't for the 4% at all, and I wasn't for the base rates increasing that much. That was almost $20. Neither one of those were acceptable to me.
Shelley?
Because I wasn't able to make last meeting, it was news to me about some of the stuff that was going on. I understand you do have to have some type of increase. I think this is more reasonable than what you were mentioning in the last meetings.
Yeah.
So I do want to know, you made a comment about $20,000 that you put in for him that you thought that was going to come out. What were you referring to?
The city hall, $20,000 on the pulling up the carpet.
We're gonna take that out.
Nice.
Well, it was not just the carpet, it was other things. Actually, what we decided, and this didn't get to Russ, but we decided we're gonna take the duct tape off, we'll just take the carpet out.
Oh.
So that's coming out.
So there,
Won't be 20,000.
Yeah.
it won't be $20,000.
Right.
And you're not gonna have duct tape so people can trip, right?
But we have duct tape now, and have had at least for a year.
I mean, 'cause right there, you have someone tripping, that's a $20,000 worker comp claim,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Easy.
But we decided that we just take up the carpet, and now we don't have the tripping, and we'll.
So it's not $20,000 to pull the carpet. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really City Hall renovations is what it was called.
Oh, okay.
So what else is?
What else incurred in that 20,000? What else besides just carpeting being pulled and remodeling? What renovations were made for the 20,000?
Well, we haven't made any, we haven't really any plans, we plugged that in.
Threw a number at the fan and come back on us, we're not doing it.
And 20,000 probably wouldn't do it, but we just wanna pull up the carpet.
Okay. Thank you for going back to the books, Russ, and coming up with some other alternatives, because I know it wasn't easy.
Mr. Ahern?
You bet. Well, first off, thanks to everybody for being here. If we had this many people participate every time, it would be a good thing. We're here to represent you all. I know Russ and I have had a number of discussions, and I know at least initially the goal was to try to maintain the budget for next year, basically where we are this year. And if you look at the numbers specifically, it's pretty darn close. The problem that we've run into, of course, is that there's still a deficit, as Bryce talked about. When you talk about a loss of $300,000 in sales tax and the hospital issue, I would say the general public, I would certainly have included myself in that. I've been on the council now for a year. Probably don't recognize the only way to generate revenue in city municipalities in the state of Oklahoma is through sales tax or utilities. So that's why economic development is so critical for sales tax. But if we are going to continue to live in this city and enjoy the amenities that the city offers. Police force, parks, fire department, street department.
Baseball fields.
We're going to have to take care of the deficit and then operate at a different level than what we are now. It's that simple. I'm not sure I see in here where you could cut a lot of significant cost unless you begin to cut people. And we, as a council, have, and I know we talked about this today, there is a hiring freeze. There has been a hiring freeze, there will continue to be a hiring freeze, so that we can ensure that positions that are filled are positions that need to be filled. Sometimes attrition alone will allow you to kind of renegotiate people's positions and those kinds of things to save money. I live in the city, I'm a business owner, this will hit me in multiple ways, but I also know that I have to appreciate what the city offers. And I have to be willing to do what it takes if I want to continue to enjoy those amenities. Because you can only do it through sales tax, or you can only do it through utilities. That's it. And if we've lost $300,000 in sales tax, which I believe, in a very positive mode, what Bryce said, I believe that that is coming back. But there's not a person in this room, including this council, I could probably speak for, that believes that the loss of Walmart's sales tax of over $300,000 will come back this year. It's not going to happen, my friends, but it will happen, I believe, and I think all of us believe, over time. And until that happens, we've got to work very diligently within the budgetary constraints of what we have. And I think that's what Russ and all of the people who work on this have tried to do. So thank you for letting me say that.
Mr. Coldiron.
So far, a lot's been said. I'll say, I too was not with either of the previous plans for sure, and still wavering on this one. But I do want to hear what everybody here has to say, and go from there.
Councilman Gilbert.
Ditto. And the increases every year hack me off, but I guess I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say since I'm a representative for them.
Mr. Frank.
I think we have a momentum in Perry right now for change. I think we're seeing buildings sell. I think we're seeing new businesses starting to come in. I think there's a positive attitude in the overall feeling about Perry. Do we have still a long way to go? Yeah, we still have a long way to go. But with everybody's help, we can get there. It is a sad state of affairs in the state of Oklahoma where our ad valorem taxes are not used to fund a city. If you go to any other state in the union, we are the only state, and if you go to any other state in the union, ad valorem taxes are used to run small towns. And that's why they spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year in ad valorem taxes, and their utilities may be less. We don't have that luxury. Our utilities and our sales taxes have to fund this budget. And this is not a community government thing. This is a people getting together and working toward the betterment of the community. And we have a lot of work to do to bring ourselves up. We are a great community right now. I believe that in the time I've been here since 1980, I'm an implant. And since 1980, we haven't seen an iota worth of growth. But I believe that we're right on the cusp of that. And when Walmart left, that's $300,000, as everybody has said. So my bills are going to go up just like your bills. It's a cost of doing business. it's a cost of living in a community and working together.
But
So,
how about your elderly people who don't have raises?
That's right.
Don't have income other than.
yeah,
Same
I
amount.
agree. I'm
And here everything goes up, and ours don't.
I'm fortunate enough to have some added income on the side.
Yeah.
But I am one of them elderly folks.
But my son is
And I
having to
agree,
pay
I
my
understand.
electric bill for me right now.
Yep, exactly. I understand fully.
And how about these people that don't have people to help them? That's the thing that really worries me.
It's the thing that really worries all of us. We all are understanding that, which is why we are trying to find alternatives
Well, I've
to
even
what we
tried
had
to-
to start with, for darn sure.
I've even tried the averaging.
Mhm.
Well, all that's gonna do to me, I'm gonna have a high electric bill year round.
Let's finish around.
We're gonna fish around the table.
Okay. So, at any rate, I'm, this is not easy for any of us. This is tough. And, Earl?
The budget that we first started with a month ago had a $500,000 deficit, putting us precariously close to being in trouble if anything bad happened. And I appreciate all the work that Russ, Bryce, and everybody has put into getting this budget, which still doesn't leave us with a big balance, but it leaves us with a sufficient balance that I can still remember February 2002. And overnight, that night, we had over $1 million worth of damage in this city from the ice storm. Fortunately, at that point in time, we had enough cash that we could fund and proceed with the repairs and take care of things. We got reimbursed that money later, but we had to carry it for the meantime. And the state was nearly 3 years getting their monies here. So we had a big gap there that fortunately had enough reserves to take care of. And I want to see us always have that kind of reserve. That's why I frankly am very pleased with the way this budget has come out. Yes, I sympathize, and yes, I would do anything I can to help the elderly fixed income. I had one gentleman discussing this with me offer a donation. And I think we need to do some exploring of see if some way we can structure donations from those of us that have a little more to help some of those that don't have. But that's another endeavor. Thank you.
As being the ninth councilman on this board, we have not taken this lightly. We have not taken anyone's situation lightly. I'm fortunate to be a retired state employee, which doesn't make me a millionaire, but at least gives me something besides Social Security. But it's still an expense every month for me too. My mother-in-law lives on Social Security, and she has her income adequately budgeted where she can do well right now. But I don't know what the future lies. I don't know what the future lies for me. My retirement won't go up either. But we have a city of 5,000 people that happen to have a big loss, and we still got 5,000 people to serve. Now, you want me to cut back, what do we cut back on? We stop mowing parks? We stop having patrolmen at night? We stop having fire protection 24/7? I've got to keep those services going. And this budget is about those services. About people who say, we got to have the swimming pool open. That costs a lot of money to keep that old pool open. What are we gonna do? I'm asking you to work with us, and we did not increase your electric. We did not raise the base fee on electric for residential or commercial. The rates are the same as they were last year, which I know isn't good. but it's, we didn't increase it. We didn't increase the rates on any utilities. We have raised the base where it's gonna cost you $10 more a month. I'm sorry for your utilities. And we worked hard on this. There's a number of us stood the ground and said we cannot do this. Earl was staunch in his position. He could vote his back, and we are not going to. And that's one of the reasons we're not. Because enough of us took a stand and found other ways. We got creative. So I thank you very much for coming, and now let's give about 3 minutes per person. And we start, whoever wants to talk first, go ahead.
I'd like to.
Introduce yourself from the podium, please.
My name's Jack Crozier. I'm from Nova County. I'm sure all of y'all are dedicated to our well-being, or you wouldn't be here. Mr. City Attorney, you was talking about Blackwell a while ago. You was talking about your hospital stuff. You said me. Do you have something to do with their facility up there also?
Yes.
I was just curious. I don't know.
I
A lot of
represent
people have
Blackwell,
children here
Tonopah,
in
and
Perry.
Perry.
I think they go to Oklahoma City or Tulsa or somewhere over there. My biggest question was on the information I had before y'all changed it a while ago. It looked like we got a $240,000 deficit. We're trying to make that better by, what, $351,000? Y'all talked about a little different numbers. It's about a $111,000 increase. I just don't really get that. And I know y'all try to explain that, but we've lost Ditch Witch, not Ditch Witch, but Walmart. I don't think anybody's even included the people who no longer work for, or live in Perry that work for Ditch Witch. How many people are we losing that's leaving this town because they can't afford to pay the bills?
And more.
And there's more people leaving. I don't know if y'all took that into consideration. I mean, these guys over here talk about our parks. We've got a great place to live, law enforcement, hospitals. People get us to the hospitals. It's a great town. But we're losing the basic people that live here. We've lost Walmart, the people that work at Ditch Witch. All the big shots live in Edmond. And it's just us little shots that work here. And, we're like barely making it. My bills last year for electric was $450, and you're saying our electric's not gonna go up, it's gonna go up somewhere. It looks like there's an increase of $111,000, give a nickel or a dime. We've changed this format that I had to look at. I don't know what y'all are looking at, but am I close in the ballpark? $111,000 increase?
Yeah.
Over the $240,000 shortfall we have from losing Walmart and the people that's moving from Perry. We're trying to increase that by $351,000, which is about $111,000 roughly.
$120,000, that is reduced expenditures for the police department.
Well, I don't know where at you're doing, I'm just conglomerating them all together. I mean, that was your budget, basically. I mean, am I off too far?
No, you're about right. I mean,
So, I mean, you're getting that figure somewhere.
$330,000 increase.
Who's gonna pay that?
Is about $80,000.
Who's gonna pay that? That's
$90,000
what I'm
less
getting
than
at.
what we originally had.
Yeah, who's gonna pay that?
Well, it's going to be paid by those water and sewer customers.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. People come here to our great parks, they don't have no restaurants to go eat at. We got great hotels, they're empty pretty much. We got a great place to live, we just need to get some business in here to tax, to get the money from. Y'all are spending our money and we barely have any. That's all I wanted to say.
Next.
My name is Curtis White. Lived here pretty much all my life. I don't know how you all play it. I really don't. I don't get it at all. I know that if I lose income, and I've lost a considerable amount of income, I can't just go to these random people and say, hey, will you pay my bills?
Amen.
I can't do that. It don't work that way. I can't force them to do it either, because it's not right. When I have a loss of income at my house, I have to pick and choose which project I have to take on. which one's a priority. I can't just say, hey, I'm still gonna take on these 20 projects, but let's stick it to them. But we've done it every year. And it's okay to explain to some of these people that are on a fixed income, some of these people who don't have much, it's okay to explain to them, hey, we really need to do this to take care of something. That's okay the first time. That's not okay the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. That's not okay. And you know, a lot of this could be helped if people have more efficient housing. I get that, and that's a great argument. But if people can't afford to pay $300 to $500 a month on their utility bills, they can't afford $10,000 to $20,000 worth of house improvements. It's not going to happen. This town is an older town. Most of the houses are older. Most of the people that live in them are living paycheck to paycheck because that's all they have. I get it. I get it. This town needs money. I get it. I also understand that we lost all kinds of income because of Walmart. And we lost all kinds of income because of the hospitals. I get it. But we can't just look at it and go, well, we lost that. Let's stick it to them. It's not right. It's not correct. I know that we have things that we need to do and things that we want to do. But if it comes down to a family, we have to decide what is our highest priority, take care of that one, and go down the line. Not take 20 at a time and decide to stick it to the rest of the people. That's all I have to say.
Next, please.
My name's Don Matthew. I've been a Perry resident for, let's say, 14 years. I bought the first house I ever bought here in Perry. And I bought the dump 2-story apartment building next to me and tore it down. And then I bought the dump little house on the other side of me and tore it down, cleaned up my neighborhood. I can't afford anything to go up. I really can't. I'm trying to sell my rental property now. I haven't had rent out of it for the last year and a half now, and I've been making $500 and some a month payments on it. But I'm not renting to anybody here in Perry anymore. I can't find a good renter. Have not. I thought I had ironclad rental agreements. Nope. Still got a loss every time, every renter. And I live in a double wide, and there's nothing saying I can't hook that thing up, pull it out in the country somewhere or to a different town. I know a young couple that just got married 2 weeks ago, and they just were saying how happy they were today on Facebook because they moved out of Perry because they can't afford to live here. They both work out here at Ditch Witch, and they'll continue to commute to Ditch Witch, but they live down in Guthrie now. You know, I'm glad you're not raising the electric, but still, any increase on me is a burden, and all these other folks too, and all the folks in Perry.
I have a few questions. My name's Vicki Byer. You stated that you were going to increase the admin fee by $3. Is that on top of the $5.50 that you've already, that we
Yes.
pay? So now it's gonna be $8.50?
$8.50.
For, and what does that mean, administrative fee? What is that?
The administrative fee covers the cost of the office staff that it takes to prepare and do the utility billing. And the back office pieces that go into that.
So it's to cover the cost of the person that does that?
Well, the administrative costs, so within our budget, if you will look at and I know you don't have a copy.
I have a
I'm
copy of the
directing.
budget, I've tried to
So,
read it.
We have $391,000 worth of administrative costs that we pay in order, inside the PMA.
How much is that?
$391,000.
Wow. Okay. So this $5.50 that we've been paying,
Generates $180,000 by itself. And
Wow.
this additional $3 would bring $87,000. We're
But in-
still $130,000 short of the cost of actually issuing and maintaining the bills and the billing system that gets the utilities out there.
so that
But
goes to.
550 was enacted last year when
Right.
we didn't have a rate increase.
Right.
I mean, that's what we did in lieu of having any rate increase last year.
Right.
Yeah.
But that goes to some person, you said, that does the billing?
Well, no, it goes to all of the girls. It goes to all the girls in City Hall and in the front offices.
Well, they get paid
Good
anyway.
mixture.
Right. Don't they get paid an hourly wage or a monthly wage?
Yes,
So now
that
this-
cost us
now you're gonna-
$376,000.
If they're there for 12 hours a day or 10 hours, it doesn't matter what they do, they're gonna be doing something, they get paid for that anyway. But
Right.
now you're tacking on $8.50.
What we're tacking on is we're saying that service cost us money. And in the past, we haven't charged directly for that service. And so the administrative fee that we put in place here is to help cover the cost of what it takes for us to provide the billing side of services to the community. It's not, we're not giving anybody extra money out of it, it's just, we're trying to break down for the citizens and let you all know exactly, hey, it cost us this amount of money to do this part, and it cost us this amount of money to do this part. And it's really breaking those fees out. And the reason they're fees is because that's what it cost us. We're still $130,000 short. I mean, we could go in and if we want to cover every dollar that's in that piece, we could raise that another $130,000. You know, we could make it another $5 on top of that. And yes, then we would cover the administrative cost of the PMA in order to provide those services.
But we're not getting any more administrative assistance, $3 worth than we were last year. That's the same as last year as it is now, is that correct? So you're just tacking it on there to tack it on somewhere, isn't that correct?
Yes. I mean, it's giving us extra additional revenues and we're identifying and breaking those pieces out.
Okay. I noticed in the budget, since you're talking about the budget, this 28-page, 27-page budget, that I noticed in here that there's always little deals that says other services and charges on just about every category. They don't tell us what they are, but some of them has been like $505,000. Here's a $14,000 one on page 3. A $30,000 other service charges that we don't know what that's for. Economic development, the baseball field, everything has got this undescribed other services / charges. Here's one that's for code enforcement, there's $7,000. You can't tell us what it's for, but you want us to pay for it. I think.
Let me address that just real quickly. The state of Oklahoma sets up a certain operating procedures and a certain chart of accounts that is acceptable for budgeting purposes. Inside of that, we have a certain level of pieces. And all governmental funds operate this way. You have the fund level piece. Inside the fund, you have different departments. So if we look at the general fund, we have the street, and we have the police, and we have the fire, and we have the library, and we have the parks, and we have the ball fields, and we have all of those. We have different departments. In PMA, we have different departments also. We have the electric, the water, the sewer, and the administration, and the trash. Everybody has different departments. But the state of Oklahoma has given us specific pieces, and they call them object levels, okay? And those object levels define what items get rolled up into that, whether you're looking at our city or whether you're looking at any other city. Inside of that, you have personal services, you have materials and supplies, you have other charges and services, you have capital outlay, you have debt service, and you have transfers. And all of the expenses have to fall in one of those 6 categories. I mean, I think in common sense, if you were just I'm the layman and I'm just trying to be simple here and looking at this, but personal services, well, what does it cost to pay employees? It's their salaries and wages, it's their payroll taxes, it's their retirement, it's their health insurance, right? Materials and supplies. What would materials and supplies be if I was just to ask you as a general person? Well, materials and supplies would be pretty common. Let's see, I probably have pens if I'm running in City Hall, and I have paper. If I'm working in one of the departments, maybe I have repair expenses. I have oil filters, and I have air filters, and I have those kind of things. If I'm running my other charges and services.
What was the question?
Sir, may I please just finish here for a second, and then we'll address the other question.
We lost the question that Ms. Byers asked you.
I'm answering her question.
You're being sarcastic the way you're saying it, everybody's seeing it.
My question was, what does other services / charges mean on each category that's here?
It's
And
pens and paper.
Well, no, they
That's in
cut that
materials and
out.
supplies.
That's materials and
Materials
supplies,
and
we know
supplies.
what that is, but I don't know what other services / charges are. And this one category is $100,000.
Other charges and services, the significant cost in other charges and services is our insurance pieces. If you look in the general government pieces, all of the insurance that we pay for the city. So our liability insurance, our property and casualty insurance, our workers' comp insurance, all of those insurances are an other service and charge. It's not directly tied to a person, it's not directly materials and supplies. It falls in this other charges and services.
So why don't
The
you just
phone-
write insurance?
It needs to be specified.
Because this budget is intended to be adopted looking at the object levels. If you want line item levels and you want details inside of those, we go down to a line item level. That's another level of detail inside the budget. If we went down to a line item level, we would have about 140-page document that we would have to go through. You know, Earl's been there, just trying to get everybody through this object level budget is significant enough. Even if we did it at the department level, it's still going to be a lot of information for you all to digest. Whenever you all look at your monthly financials, we present the department level financial, because the department level financial is trying to summarize that piece and is trying to give you exactly what you want, or at least something you can make a decision from. The object level piece, or the department level piece is good. The object level is what we adopt here to give you all a little further breakout and understanding. The line item, honestly, I do not have a municipality one. With all the municipalities we work with, that looks at a line item budget. Nobody's ever given that. Now, we have backup and we have support for how we get to these numbers that constitute some line item detail, but we never present line item detail in a budget. As far as approval goes and what goes on, you all approve the budget at the department level. Mr. Franklin and I were talking about that today. You all are going to approve at department level. You, under state law, you'd be even allowed to approve it at fund level. You know, I mean, we could take it there, but you guys are gonna approve at department level. So whenever you're looking at it, you don't even care what was in personal supplies, what was in materials and charges, what was in other charges and services, what was in capital outlay. You're saying that's the total budget for this department. And based on that total budget for this department, the department heads will then implement it. Larry will supervise it, and we go on down the road.
So other services and charges are what?
Insurance is the biggest number that's in those other services and charges, followed by any contractual services that we have, whether some of them is IT, it's accounting, it's our audit. You run into then telephone costs are in there. I can go down, there's an entire list of pieces. If it does not fall out, very simple, if it does not fall out as personal services, or it doesn't fall out as an other materials and supplies, the default is other charges and services for those items.
Software, hardware updates?
Software and hardware updates are in there, yeah, all the computer pieces. Roll that out.
I don't think they're not under what we've just been arguing about, other services and charges, because I saw specifically some updates and software and all that is set out specifically.
Difference here. The ongoing maintenance costs, the things that we're gonna pay every year are included in other services and charges. If it's one-time costs that are capital items, pieces that we buy this year and we're not gonna buy next year and in any future year, we might not buy it for another 5 years. Those items that are one-time purchases always fall out in the capital outlay section. And that's what you saw was capital outlay. And so those fall out in capital outlay. The other charges and services would be our annual maintenance contract that we have with Casella to maintain the library, $18,000 that we pay year in and year out, so that we can keep the general ledger and the utility billing system and all of that going. That falls out in other charges and services, because we pay that every year. We don't get out of that from a service contract. Our Microsoft licensing that we pay in order to have our CALs, or whatever they call them, CALs and user license and user access. We pay that every year no matter what. That becomes an operating expense, falls into other charges and services. If we were to go out and buy a new server, which are probably some of the things that you're looking at, if we were to go out and request a one-time upgrade to pick up the HR module in Casella, I think it was $15,000 when we priced it. Dixie and I, we talked about it and decided that wasn't worth going out and spending, but that would have showed up as a capital outlay.
I have a yes and no question for you, sir.
I usually don't answer yes and no. There's maybe one of the answers that I get to use.
Hopefully it's yes or no. This is a yes and no question. Your taxes, after you're adding on all these fees that we pay every month for the, whatever I forgot what they're called now. Anyway, the taxes are gonna go up that you put on our bill too, because of the raise of all the different things you're putting on there, that $3.13 and $3.71 and the $3.16 and the $3 more on the administrative fee.
Which
You add
tax
all that
are you
up
referring to?
on our bill.
What tax are you paying on your bill?
Well, on there, it says tax, it'll say tax down at the bottom.
Yeah? Do you know what that tax is?
That increases too.
Let me ask you this, before I answer your yes and no.
No.
Do you know what that tax is?
What do you, I don't have it right in my head, no.
Okay, that tax is, the tax that is on there is on electric services. It's the only thing that you're taxed on.
Okay, but
And you're only taxed on electric services at the city and county level. You're not taxed at the state level on electricity. There is no tax on water, there is no tax on sewer, there is no tax on trash. So the only thing you're paying is tax on the electric consumption that you're paying. So I want to make sure you understand what the tax is.
that's going up too.
No.
It will increase because you're increasing our.
No, we're not touching your electricity,
Okay,
so
Okay.
I want to make sure you understand what it is, so that whenever we say, I'm sorry, I didn't answer yes or no to that question, but yes or no wasn't an appropriate answer.
Okay. I think one thing that we could cut out real easy is cut out the sidewalk project.
I agree.
Zap it.
It's an improvement.
As far as expenses in this budget, it does not affect operations, and the sidewalk project in no way affects the utility rates that we are setting. The sidewalk project is being paid for out of bond funds that we've already issued, and we're using the monies that are in that bond fund, 25%, to match the state grant in order to pay for the sidewalk. So if you would like to pull that out, we can pull that out. But it in no way affects the operating budget, and it affects the utility increase on the base rates that we've talked about. That's a capital item, and we can save those capital dollars to spend on something else some other time. But it in no way affects the operating dollars that we're talking about today.
I think people are having an issue understanding the different types of funding going on. I think they think we have one big checkbook, and we write all the checks out of it, and that's not really the case.
No.
Money is set aside and can only be used for that. We can't take that money and apply it to the operational expenses because law says we can't do it.
Right.
And I think people are having a hard time understanding that right now.
That sidewalk project was the dream of Ed Malzahn, who wanted to, have it done for years, and quite frankly, 80% of it is paid by federal funds. Now, if you had anything that you wanted to buy, and someone else is paying 80% of it, and you only had to pay 20% of it, You know, as with regard to the things that you would want to buy that would benefit the public, that would probably be one that you would look at. You know, something that you only had to pay 20% of, but you got a free 80%. We're also looking at a sidewalk project, which is Safe Routes to School, which we hope to get, which will be paid 100% by federal funds. And the engineering and design on it will be paid 75% by federal funds. We only have to pay 25%. So one thing we try to do here is, because there's very few grants anymore, very few, we try to maximize our use of other people's money so we can bring those benefits to the community. You know, that's kind of the sidewalk project. And it was the dream of Ed Malzahn, and he wanted it it was the only thing he asked for that we never delivered, that I know, that he ever asked the city.
I'm gonna,
Crystal, just say, let me answer. Crystal said we have a little issue understanding maybe what funds are there and those kind of things. And for a second, let me just take and make sure that everybody's on one page as to what we're really talking about. Whenever we sat down.
Let me interrupt. I just have two more real quick things to say, and then I'll sit down and you can get because I want my 3 minutes.
I think you had 8, but okay.
No, you took 7.
Oh, I thought that counted in her time with whatever my rebuttal time was. Why talk so long?
This is a quote from this lady right here. Live within your means.
Amen.
If you've only got so many dollars to work with, then live within it. Don't start asking us all to help them pay for something that we're not responsible for. We can't help it because Walmart closed.
I mean, it's really not our fault that the hospital, in my opinion, mismanaged money.
Right.
But we all gotta pay for it if we want a hospital here. We all felt like a hospital needed to be here. I mean, I guess we made the bad decision and should have shut it down instead. So we're paying that debt now for that.
In March 2017, the council approved that we would be restricted from using any solar or other power generated wind power. And even if we did use them, we would still be charged every month for our electricity, and we couldn't use them, we couldn't hook them up. And that was from March 17. I think you should eliminate that, let people, if they have wind generators or the solar power, let them use it, let them conserve their energy, and let them not have to pay so much of the utility bills. And
You
I
can
know
use
that's-
solar.
Pardon?
Solar's permitted in this town. You know, wind, you've got to put the tower way too high, the tower falls over on your neighbor, but solar is permitted.
I think there's a way to not have to charge us any more utilities. They're getting ridiculous. They're just really way out there. They're just, people can't afford it. I know a little old lady that she has to decide whether she's gonna try to stay cool, which she's got the little fan, whether she's gonna have supper, or whether she's gonna pay the utility bill,
Right here.
or none of the above.
Right here.
So let me address just for a quick second. Try not to take 12 minutes in doing it. I'll try to make it a little more expedient. Within the city, we have 2 main funding sources. And this is education. I hope you guys grab this and listen to what I'm saying. We have our sales tax and our use tax, and our franchise fees. We also have our utility revenues. We have what we gain from our electric system, our water, our sewer, and our trash. Those are the only 2 things that we really have that drive the cash into our bank account. It's our income, and that's all we really generate from. On the city side, we generate about $2.1 million worth of revenue from sales taxes, use taxes, franchise fees, from our police fines, from our ambulance collections, from the 522 money that comes in. $2.1 million is all we generate. Out of that money, our police department cost us $1.6 million. Our fire department cost us $320,000. Our ambulance department cost us $690,000. If I were to tell you we are only going to use our sales tax that we generate, we could not provide the current level of police and fire and ambulance for the citizens of this community on just that money. We would already be short in what it takes to operate our city. At that point, we have done nothing with our streets. We have done nothing with our parks. We have done nothing with the library. We have done nothing with our code enforcement. We've done nothing with animal control. All of those things are ancillary services. Whenever you add all of that up, it costs us $5.4 million, almost $5.5 million to operate the pieces of the city that generate no funds for themselves. Now, I'm all for, and you as a council, choose which of those pieces you want to cut. Choose which of those things that we're providing to our citizens today and do away with them. To the extent that's what you want to do, we can do that. And that's a little bit of what the citizens are asking is cut those things away. But I don't know what of that you really start cutting. I gave you police and the fire and the ambulance, and fire and ambulance being one department. I gave you two departments by themselves. You would have to cut out all the others, plus cut into those almost $1 million just to operate on what we have. If I use Ms. Meyer's quote of operate within your means, if we operate within our means inside the general fund, that's all we're going to have. We will not have 24/7 police. We will not have 24/7 fire. We will have the ambulance because the 522 money is covering the ambulance. I mean, so you can leave that piece out of it. But outside of that, we don't have even a semblance of the public safety side of the city that you're currently operating in. So what do we do to make that happen? You go over and if you look at our water, we're subsidizing our water department with almost $600,000 of sales tax. We're not charging our citizens enough money on the sale of water today to actually ask them to turn the faucet on, unless we give them the sales tax. Whenever you have the sales tax in, we now have enough to do it. But if you ask water to stand alone without any subsidy, without any sales tax, without anything else, just the dollars that we're charging the consumers, and you were in normal business, you would shut the water department down because it's bankrupt. The fees that we charge do not cover the expenses it takes to provide you water to turn your faucet on. Now, we give it the sales tax subsidy of 1 1/4 cents, almost $600,000. Now you can justify turning on your water, but it's only because we're using other people's money, we're using the sales tax money to make sure you can turn that on. The sewer is a little better off with the increased fees, but whenever you look at the debt service and you look at the things that we're not going to be able to do in phase 3 of the sewer project, because right now we're looking at doing phase 4, if we were to do phase 3 and we were to increase, just borrow the money over 10 years in order to pay for the finishing out of phase 3 and phase 4 of the sewer, we would still lose $100,000 a year on sewer for the next 10 years. We're not charging enough on our sewer to actually keep it in an operating state that makes sense. Our trash, yes, we make money on, but luckily we pay an outside service to come in and haul our trash away. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's better than nothing. And if we want to pay more, we can always go out and find another provider. But I don't think we want to pay more for trash. We're not happy always with what trash we get, but the answer is we're getting what we pay for at this point. And so really, guys, the only piece that we really make money on in this city is our electric service. And if we did not have the electric service, and I will say this, if we did not have electric service, we would not be providing the general fund activities that we provide to the city. The quality of life things that we see as what makes Perry great. We couldn't afford them. Because I've already told you, there's no way by itself to provide the city and let it operate as it is. Let alone if you take away the transfer. We transfer $3.2 million out of our utilities to our general fund so we can continue to operate. That's what we do. Whenever you guys want to pick something, as a council, whenever you all want to pick something to cut, we can cut that piece. And as we cut that piece, we can reduce these costs of operations. We can reduce the revenues that have to come in so that we can maintain this break even. We're not out here trying to get rich. We're not out here trying to stockpile money. Earl's talked about the reserve that we have, and Earl's talked about the money that we have set aside so that we can get there, because he's been through that natural disaster. Guys, I've been through natural disasters inside of municipalities. Whenever the ice storms come, whenever the tornadoes hit, whenever those pieces happen, it takes 4 and 5 years before FEMA reimbursements finally come back to the city. If we do not have a couple of $1 million set aside, based on us operating the electric system, if we didn't operate the electric, it would be a different number. But operating the electric system and operating the cost that it takes, the cleanup cost that comes from a tornado or from an ice storm, whenever it comes through, if we don't have $2 million sitting in the bank, cash reserves, to pay those bills up front that first day, we're not gonna have anything left. We're not gonna have any money. We will be coming to you all, asking you all to issue borrowing resolutions in the millions of dollars. And you're gonna say, how are we gonna fund that? And we're gonna say, we're gonna start adding fees, because we didn't do it in the past. And unfortunately, at that side, we're gonna add huge fees, trying to make that thing happen.
Next to the podium.
Oh, she has a question for.
Next to the podium.
Do you live?
You have to let, go to the podium.
I'll let her
I
ask
just
her.
have a question. Do you live here?
No, I do not.
Why don't you live here?
Why don't I live
Why do you
here?
have to blow your mouth?
Why you won't let anyone else have a word? You're having way too much influence. You're not. We came here to speak. You're taking all the time, and you don't even live here. Why don't you live here?
I am here because the council has hired me to do this job.
You
Okay.
need to just lay it out in front of them and
And
then
let
shut
us
up.
discuss.
Let them decide.
I'll speak to that. Part of what he is doing is trying to educate us all in how the financial end of this city works.
You know what, we're not dumb, we know some of that already, because we don't have to budget ourselves.
I
You know,
realize-
if you'll trade my mother-in-law's salary for 6 months, and then you use her salary for 6 months, if you can handle it, okay, I'll be for the increase. But
You need to come to the podium and identify yourself if you want to
Kathy
speak.
Porter, my name.
Say again.
Kathy Porter.
Thank you.
My
Next.
name's Kayla Johnson. I was born here, I've been here my whole life. I wanted to make a couple comments. You said earlier that we have a really good momentum going in Perry, and we do. There's a lot of stuff coming to town, it seems like, as opposed to leaving compared to last year. And I would kind of like the council to keep in mind, we do have this momentum going. You guys have agreed not to raise the electric rates. That was what got a lot of people really upset, because that was a big jump to see. That momentum is only gonna last if people are inclined to stay here. Having issues like this with the budget, where we're constantly fighting utility battles, is not gonna get people to stay here. I don't know the solution. There may not be a one-size-fits-all solution for this. But you do need to take into consideration, you cannot have the city, and you can't have that money coming from utilities if no one's here. And no one's gonna wanna stay here if they can't afford their electric or whatever other utility they're having issues with. And if the water department is not making, if the numbers aren't matching with a department, I'm no business expert, but maybe someone needs to look into that a little deeper, because there should not be that much of a deficit for something that seems to have run pretty smoothly up until the last however many years that this issue has come apparent. So keep in mind when you're debating this and you're voting on this, you won't have this money come in. You won't have a town support you if you drive us out with your utility rates and your increases. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Let me address a little bit of this water situation, since I was there when it all started. In order to build the pipeline to Lake McMurtry, in order to put the facilities at Lake McMurtry, in order to put the facilities at CC Lake and so on, We borrowed, somebody help me, was it $20 million?
Oh, no. It was more like nine,
$9
like
million.
$8-9 million.
$9 million. That's part of what's being repaid right now.
So that explains part of that
That's,
deficit?
that's that
Okay.
big deficit. We're paying $580,000, $580,000 a year toward that original debt.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank
My
you.
name's Annette Crozier, and I just have a comment. I guess I have a question. Why is it when we were talking about cutting back, why does it have to come from the fire department or the police department or the emergency medical services? Is there not anything that can be done with the street department or administrative, or that can be cut back on? And have we done anything previously to make cutbacks?
I was not picking, I was using the fire and the police as the example.
Well, they
in
get
what
picked on.
sales tax was
They're the
covered.
best thing going there for this community.
Hey, I have nothing against the fire and the police. I was only using them to say, we would have to cut out in the general fund, if we only operated on the sales tax, we would have to cut out all the other departments already, and we could not fund 100% of what we're doing currently in the police and the fire.
Understand.
I wasn't saying
Okay,
those are the only
well,
two that need to get
those
cut.
are the
I'm
three
saying,
that were brought up, and those are the ones that need the least
Yeah.
amount of cut.
Well, they're also the largest.
Well, they are, but they're the most important.
Exactly.
Also, what specifically, can you tell me, has been done to cut back on y'all's budget? I mean, I know you said you weren't gonna hire somebody at the, but that was in process. What has been done previously to make cutbacks for the city and save money like everybody else has had to do?
let me start with Dixie's department, because this is the one that I know the best. You know, whenever we started, 9 years ago with the city of Perry, that department had 13 people in it. That department today has 6. You know, the administrative costs were over double what they are now, just in City Hall. You were receiving no more services, you're receiving no less services today out of City Hall than you did 9 years ago. But the cost of operating City Hall is almost half of what it was in the administrative department.
Based on salary,
Salaries and wages.
benefits, those types of
Yes,
things?
yes, the
Understand.
salaries and wages and the benefits. So,
Synthesis.
and none of those were done by firing individuals. All of those were done through an attrition program, Brian, like we've talked, you know, as things went away, we made do with less in City Hall and more people absorbed other things. That specifically is City Hall, that I can talk to. Looking at the other departments, I will tell you the electric department has run short on individuals since Bob Moore left.
Electric department does a
and,
fantastic job.
They do. And matter of fact, they're understaffed for the amount of work that they have to do.
I have another community that's a little bit larger, just a little bit larger. They have 11 in the electric department. We have 3. I mean, that tells you how outstanding this group of electric employees are.
Well, and sadly, you get overtime because those 3 individuals are working around the clock.
Non-stop.
Which then
Prob-
drives up
Probably,
operational expenses.
probably, but 11 is just,
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah, 5
Anyhow,
would be
those were
great.
just
You
my
never even
questions.
have 11 in
I just wanted to
department.
know what
You do.
specifics, like the street department had done, cutting back, you know, when you see 3 or 4 people there, 3 or 4 trucks, and 1 water line break, you know, and then there's other stuff going on. I mean, it's just questionable. I'm not doing the job, so I can't speak for them, but there are a lot of questions based on that, so that's all I've got to say.
Another piece that maybe I'll hit is the meter reading piece. You know, I mean, we're literally down to pulling people, and we're too short on the meter reading side, and literally we're pulling in, you know, from other departments and consolidating on the weeks that we read meters. You know, just because where we used to have 3 full-time, you know, I mean, now I think
We used to
don't.
have janitors, a janiting
Janitors.
service that would take care of bathrooms and pick up trash. That's all
Bryce
done.
today was emptying the trash in City Hall.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean,
just
it's not
so
a big
everybody
deal,
knows. I mean,
but they're,
the little pieces,
Just go ahead and let more
the
people
costs that
talk.
need to be reduced are being reduced where they can.
Let's go ahead. Anyone else, please come forward.
My name's Terry Guska. I want to know why we don't have money to run the city, but we have money to buy property all over the place. Just like the hospital deal mentioned, we bought it because we could, or they wanted Stillwater to pay us. I think that was the word you used.
Well, actually.
And the big motel deal out here. Where do we come up with the money to buy all this property?
Well, understand that without that hotel deal, we wouldn't have the Seth Wadley economic development.
Okay, with that in mind, what is that gonna bring to Perry? And I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that they don't pay, there's no tax, sales tax or anything like that at a car dealership that comes back into the city.
100 jobs.
And actually, there is sales tax
Payroll.
at a car dealership.
Payroll.
Okay, well,
Car-
I was
now,
told there was not, that's why I
There is
said.
not tax on the vehicle sales, but all of the parts sales that run through
Okay.
a service department
Okay.
are taxed.
On the
and
purchase of
pay tax.
the hospital property, we acquired that property for creditor rights reasons, and we didn't pay the money over. In order to induce Stillwater to come in, there's gonna be accounts receivable and accounts payable under the transaction. And there's gonna be a loss at some point that we're gonna have to make up. And that money can be applied to that loss. They didn't actually get the cash. But it was part and parcel of putting together the recruitment of Stillwater Regional Medical Center. And that saved 50, let's say 50 plus jobs in payroll. So, I mean, and maybe you don't
Does
see
the
it.
city, did the city own the hospital?
The public, well, we owned.
We own the building.
We owned a part of the real property. We didn't own all of it. We owned half the clinic, the south half, and then none of the other buildings outside the hospital property, including the old highway patrol station and some of the other land that was there.
How about they city sell some of the land they own that's nothing's being done with?
Oh, we're trying to.
What we just did,
We're-
12
yeah, we're-
acres for-
Yeah, we're
for
trying to.
Wadley.
Like, for instance, the industrial park, I mean, we bought that for, $2,400, and it's all paid for, all of it's paid for, we still have extra land to sell. Plus, as part of the sales cost, we had somebody put that road through it. That was all done by someone else, not by us, so that project, totally successful. The Perry Commercial Park
I
is
love the little
also.
park that we have it, but is it making money?
No,
Okay.
no, it was never set
Then
up.
why do you say it's totally successful? It's beautiful and it's.
No, I didn't say it was
Okay.
successful, I said the industrial park was successful.
Okay.
And I'm saying the Perry Commercial Park was successful. We chose to put that ballpark in the Perry Commercial Park, but no, that will never make money. And then there's the South Commercial Park.
Will we
Uh,
make money
and-
on the motel purchase? Or is that just bringing a business to town?
No, that is selling. It will sell for less than what the fair market value is on the actual sales price. But if you take into consideration the jobs, the payroll, and what it's gonna bring, plus the investment that they're gonna make, it's absolutely worth the money. But no, there's a difference between the buy and sell price there. And, if you wanna look at it just straight from the real estate angle, or dollars and cents, we will lose money there.
To me, it looks like if the house beside me goes up for sale, I would love to buy it so that I can dictate what goes on there, but can't afford it. And that makes me feel like that's why the city of Perry maybe ought to be thinking about some things. We have elderly people that are having to have their grown children pay their utilities. And I just hope y'all take it into consideration.
I'm one of those guys.
Thank you.
I just have one question that relates to me personally.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Karen Wilcox, and on the utility rate, it is my understanding that where I live, I get double the charge of water for the initial, whatever, first, not after I use it, but I think I get double. So, my fee is gonna be $50 now compared to what it was. Is that correct?
I don't think it doubles the base.
My base, says I'm paying twice what
Oh, it is?
well, this doesn't say it, but
Is that your bill?
I've been told that the base fee where I live, I pay double for my base fee.
So your base is like $45? I mean, does that
Correct.
look familiar?
Pretty
Or
close.
sound familiar?
Sure does.
Well,
Rings a big familiar.
Well, why don't we,
The contemplated, let me address that, Bryce, because the contemplated increase is just $3.16 to everybody's bill. It didn't differentiate those that were inside or outside the corporate limits. So the Skyline piece was still gonna be the same $3.16
we're not intending to
on
double
water
that.
as
And
what it
we'll
was.
actually
It won't
look
be
at that.
$6. It'll be the $3.16 that everybody else is.
It's gonna be $3.60 more. Is that correct? I'm perfectly fine with that. The other thing that I would like to know is if anybody has addressed what you all are going to be charging electricity to people, businesses in town. You know, I know we're planning right now on the come. You know, it's coming. We're all waiting for it to come, and it's gonna be here, and we know it's gonna be here. But this fee for, if I owned a business here, I would be here yelling at you all.
What fee you
Because
talking
on the
about?
electricity.
There's
going
no fee
up.
on the electricity.
Yeah, it's like double almost.
No, it's not.
There's no
It's
fee.
totally-
$19.90,
No, there's still gonna be
$30.
No,
That's not in the.
that's not
budget.
happening.
No.
That's gone.
That's an old one.
Nothing on electric.
We got a, Karen, we got a new one tonight.
Oh, I have an old,
Yeah.
got this.
We've been fighting over this, Karen, every
Okay.
day.
I just think, I don't own a business, but if I did, I would be here yelling at that.
Well,
I'm done.
I got yelled at earlier today. You'd be number 10.
I've already spoken, but can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Not guaranteed an answer, but
Okay. So, Stillwater's the one that took over Perry Hospital, right?
Stillwater Medical Center, yes.
Okay. And I honestly, I don't know if I have my facts correct or not, so I'm probably gonna have to ask y'all, but for a while, Stillwater had stake in Blackwell's hospital too, am I correct?
They have, it's a whole different deal.
They're the
They-
manager,
they
they're just the
manage it.
manager of it.
Okay, but when it wasn't profitable, they pulled out.
They're still up there.
No, they're still there. In fact, Blackwell's paying them right now $25,000 a month. And 3 months ago, and for a period of 18 months, they were paying them $50,000 a month. Right now, the fee is $25,000 a month. We, of course, are paying Stillwater $0 per month.
Okay, I had heard from some employees there that they had had less involvement or that they had pulled out, that's why I
No.
asked. Okay.
Alliance was the group that pulled
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Alliance Group.
Alliance Health, out
Was
of
who
Ponca
pulled out
pulled out.
Blackwell, and
I was
Stillwater
just-
stepped in. at that
This
point.
still has to do with what I'm getting at. Both times when I've been a patient in this hospital, which trust me, I've been a patient in every hospital. Both times, I've been the only patient.
It's true.
In that 5 years, if Stillwater doesn't make a profit, they pull out. We can't afford to buy it back. What are we gonna do?
We're gonna lose the hospital.
And that's
But,
athletic.
I mean, that's what will happen, because we can't do what Blackwell did, because we don't have a smelter trust that was made up out of a, out of a lawsuit that, they sued the smelter and, they've got $50 million in a trust right now, but they don't have access to all that dollars. So that would not happen here. We would lose the hospital. However, the police officers tell me that exactly what you said is true, or used to be true, but is no longer true.
It's no longer true.
I was in
They
there last
say,
week, I
they,
was the only one.
they say they go over there at night and it is, and it's hopping.
In the ER, yes, but when
Yeah.
it comes to actually filling rooms out, I don't have
Well, that's no longer the business of hospitals, to tell you the truth. I mean, you know, the traditional, you know, you fill rooms and there's a bunch of folks in the rooms. I mean, that's not working anywhere in rural Oklahoma now. Hospitals have to adopt a new concept, and that's ER and really rural health.
Patient care.
Health patient care, outside services. We have to change with what works and with the type of federal dollars that we get. And it's, but if they pull out, and it could happen in 5 years, then we'll lose the hospital.
Mental institution. For old cities. Anyone else, please, take your time to poke me in the eye.
My name's Charity Foreman, and I am a realtor here in town. But I just kind of wanted to reiterate what everybody else has said with their concerns on raising the utility. I mean, I have worked, I guess, with some of the bigger banks doing foreclosures and stuff, but you know, you can't really squeeze blood out of a turnip. Some of these people, they just can't afford this, and there are going to be people who are just walking away from their homes, from everything, just because they can't make it here. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of a sad state of affairs right now. I don't know where the council is on planning or anything like that, but I just think it would be nice if we could maybe take some notes from things that were going on even in Tonkawa, how they have built out towards I-35, and it seems like they've gotten several, you know, places to eat and everything. And if we've got the ballpark, it just seems like if we could get some more restaurants and stuff in here, maybe that would help offset some of the raises.
To tell you, we have two fellows that are working on a restaurant right now, and it's going to be down on the square on the south side. And there's a person rebuilding one of the buildings down there that's going to put a kind of a coffee shop bakery in there and rent the top floor in apartments. We have others that are developing apartments in their buildings, so we can get people living down there, and then that'll help with businesses down there. We are talking to anyone who will listen and to help get some boutiques started, get some shops started, as we hopefully can increase the population of downtown. And I live downtown. I converted a building into a home. And it's handier than you can ever imagine. But there are people who are trying to do the same thing, that want to lease those out. One will have 5 apartments in it. We have another one that can have at least 4, one will have 2. We get those going and get people moving to downtown and occupying those spaces, then the businesses hopefully can be successful. We are learning a hard lesson here in Perry that has been learned in a lot of communities around the state. Is you abandon your town to go shop at the big box stores in the town a few miles away, then your town's going to deteriorate. We don't have the movie houses, we don't have all that, but we're working to regain our share of the state sales tax. And we're working very hard to do that. As Jim said, Jim Franklin, councilman, the momentum is starting to pick up. We have people who are working every week, day after day, just to get the downtown development going. We have our city manager involved in some economic development projects that are going to be out on the interstate and in that area. We're not just working in one spot. We're trying to develop businesses all up and down the interstate, around our square, along Fur. And it's not quick. It's not fast. It takes getting the people in here who want to invest in our community. And right now, our community has a good reputation as far as cleanliness, friendly people, and excitement. I'll take anybody that comes to town, who wants to see what we're doing and want to just consider investing here. I'll take them on the 50-cent tour around town and brag about every one of you. Your yards look nice. You're here, that means you're committed. This excites me. I'd like to see you all here every council meeting to tell us what you want. If we're buying something you don't agree with, tell us. If we need to purchase something, tell us. If we need to close the pool and not spend that $50,000 a year, tell us.
Well, and that's one thing too. I mean,
Just splash pad, close the pool.
as far as the amenities, I mean, is there not some place where we can cut back? Maybe some of the people in town can help out, you know, take care of some of those things to where we can cut back. I mean, do we have to have a 4% increase?
We're not having a 4% increase.
Yeah, there is no 4% increase on the table.
That's gone.
Well,
One thing I want to note to you about Tonkawa, okay, and I think this is important, because everybody uses, you know, what they have. And Tonkawa has a tribe, you know, but it took 7 years to get that casino out there. I'm the one that talked to the farmer and talked the city into buying that 5-acre tract of land that later became the Tonkawa Casino 7 years later. Prior to that time, they brought electric out there, they brought sewer out there, they brought water out there, but there was nothing happening. All they had was that Christmas tree business, or, you know, Christmas decoration business. That's all they had at a little quick trip. Tonkawa then went out and we issued $800,000 worth of bonds and created a gas company. Now, the gas company isn't making any money. I mean, it's losing money. But they hooked into this giant gas line, and now they have this giant gas service that they can fill CNG. If an industry came, they could plug it right into that industry. You could build a giant industry out of what they've done. Cost them $800,000 to do that. You know, what they don't have is land, and we have like 150. They would love to have land, because if they, you know what land sells up there for? So expensive up there. That tract across, $800,000 for that tract that went to auction, and all that land. Our land is a lot less than that. In fact, we will give it for folks to come, but they have no land. Blackwell has no land up on I-35. I mean, we are set up to grow, and it's all taken expenditures and a lot of money to buy land, which, you know, someone spoke about, and then to put in the infrastructure. But we are poised to do it. It hasn't happened yet, and that casino didn't happen for 7 years. I just want to tell you, it's all interrelated, and you've got to take advantage of what you have. You know.
Well, I just think that maybe, I mean, it would be nice to maybe hear from, you know, hear from some of the council members talking to the public and asking them what's important as far as amenities and what can we do to help out on our end. You know, I was born and raised here, so I love Perry. It's a great little place, but it's sad and disheartening to see people leave because they can't afford the utilities here. And I mean, I've seen it and know of people. So, anyways, I mean, I think we've got good things that are in the works for the town, but I just, you know, just keep in consideration everyone's opinions and thoughts on utility raises.
Let me invite any one of you who I know most of you in here, and you know my phone number. If you don't, it's 580-307-1455. 7963. And it's, you call City Hall, they got it memorized, if you want to talk to them. I am not representing anyone but you. That's the whole community. Every one of these councilmen's phone numbers are listed. And we want your input. We don't wait till this time of year and try and react. We want to hear earlier so we can plan. And because reaction causes us to have to make decisions that are not well thought out sometimes, as you saw in the last 3 or 2 examples of budget. I think the budget we worked on tonight is fair and equitable for everyone. For those of you who have terrible electric bills, there's no increase. Commercial, there is no increase in electric rates or bills. There's no increase in the water rate. I'm sorry, but we've got to plan some way to take care of what's coming. Anybody?
We do have another positive that nobody's addressed, and that is Homeland and the amount of money that they're investing in the renovation of their store with new floors, new fixtures, new cooling, all of that good stuff. So they're seeing a value in putting some money into that store, and we would like to see a value return to them in more people shopping there, and fewer people going to Stillwater. So you keep your dollars in here, we see the return on the sales tax. Is it a whole bunch? No, but every little bit helps.
And what's the chances of us getting another grocery store that can have a little competition with prices?
We're working on it.
Based on the total sales dollars, from an economic development standpoint, based on the total sales dollars that are generated within one store, there's not enough volume currently spent in the city of Perry to justify a second grocery store in town.
Because
And that's,
we can't afford everything that's over here, so we have to go to Stillwater.
That's a fact.
I still have some
Shop there first, but it's cheaper to go pay for gas and drive over there and buy food.
Exactly. Ask how many people go out of town to buy their groceries. You're gonna find out.
That's a big leak.
and we're with you guys on that. I mean, we're 100% in support, but we have no numbers. We cannot tell the other grocers as they come in, well, here's our leakage. They look at it and they go, leakage doesn't justify. They need almost double what we currently have in order to have a second store.
We have had
about 85% before we
meetings
currently
with
have.
the management, not local management, but management of Homeland Store. And Dixie gave them an earful. So I think that's the main reason we're having the renovation going on. But we cannot force them, to adjust their cost.
Yeah,
It's free market America.
That's another.
One thing that Bryce pointed out earlier tonight is the reason we even got to talk to Homeland is because there was a citizen that contacted Homeland and started the negotiation about, hey, you need to help us. We've just lost Walmart. What are you gonna do? And therefore, that started it by a citizen, not a council member, but by a citizen. So not just coming here tonight, but also staying active helps us help you.
But it doesn't change your mind. You're still gonna.
Change my mind in what?
Of what you're gonna make us start paying extra tonight.
I'm gonna pay it. If there, I'm gonna have to pay whatever you pay.
I know, but you just
Okay.
said that would help.
When it
You can
comes to
find a
making
way.
a
There's gotta be a way that you can
improvement.
find, I don't know, you gotta cut back somewhere. and then maybe it's some services that we, the people, cannot keep on subsidizing what you guys, you know, wanna do. What's your level of,
I was
Comfort
talking
is.
about Homeland and how the citizen helped make a difference for us to get an
Right.
improvement.
right,
Okay.
yeah, that's great.
So just one thing, Vicki, because you're an attorney, I'm an attorney. You came in here and I mean, we wrote it out that we might have a 4%, you know, electric increase, a
Yeah,
4%
that's
water
weird.
increase, a 4% sewer increase, a 4% garbage increase. And we were, well, of course, we were able to do it last year by that administrative fee that you brought up, and we didn't have any other rate increases, although we had a tiny rate increase on commercial. Actually, to bring them up a little bit, because residential pays more than commercial here. And so we wanted to make it a little bit more equitable, so we did do that.
I don't know about that.
And, excuse me?
I don't know that residential pays more than.
Yes, residential pays more than commercial, correct, Russ?
Yes.
Yeah, so, yes, they do. So, and of course, 1/3 of it comes from the industrial, it's 1/3 industrial, correct? 1/3 commercial, 1/3,
Well-
residential, commercial, and industrial. It's basically that for electric, but we're not doing the electric increase. We're not doing the base increase for electric. We're not doing a percentage increase, and of course, all those increases compound as you raise it. We're not doing water, sewer, solid waste increase, or raising those bases. What we're talking about is adding to an administrative fee or raising two other bases, and then something that doesn't affect you, trying to make the industrial side. I mean, you can see that that at least the proposal is significantly different than what you anticipated. Correct? You could see that. You could see that we're trying. I mean, we're not getting it done to your satisfaction, but we are trying. And I guess that's what we say. We also have a planning session. I don't know what's gonna be on the planning session. I think what I've heard today is that you'd like to see some cuts, you know? And sure, I'm sure that there's places that can be cut. I hope it's not economic development, you know, because, I mean, that's gonna be our leader, but I'm sure that there are. And I'm sure that that could be either an assignment to Russ or an assignment to each one of the folks, and it could be a subject for a planning session that we have coming up. So, I mean, don't think that you come out here and it falls on deaf ears. One other thing, when I started working for the city, I think there were 18 people in City Hall. Am I wrong, Earl?
I'd have to do a little head scratching and thinking, but that's close.
I mean, I think there were 18, and what are we down to now? I mean, so it's even further. You said 13.
Well, yeah, 13 whenever.
But there was a lot more, then. I mean, I remember, you know, a lot of people down there at City Hall. But, you know, I just want to point out that we understand there's an issue and we're trying. Still, you know, you've heard the story, you know, Walmart, hospital, economic development, you know, we've got to try to do what's best. And I don't know how they're gonna vote. I mean, we've in the past had the votes have been 4-5. You know, so don't think that that folks don't vote no, because folks do vote no around this table.
The point I wanna make is, if any of us as a family, if we've got $1,000 to work with, that's what you use, that's where you start. Then you try to figure out how to make that work, and you do have to cut back. You can't go to the movies 3 times as much as you're used to, you know, because it costs $50 to go to the movies anymore. It's things like that, you cut back. You don't go to somebody else and say, oh, could you give me an extra 20 because I want to go to the movies, or because I want to do this or that. You work from your number that you do have, and then you make that work. You don't go to everybody out here and say, okay, you guys divvy up another $20 every month or 50 or whatever it's gonna be.
10.
Well, it's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be more than that.
No, that's what it is.
It's gonna be more than that.
No, it's
because
not.
it always is.
Well, no, it's not. It's a formula. And
Okay.
$9.87.
It's $9.87. I mean, that's what it's gonna be.
How did you go from, it's gonna be like $75 down to whatever you said, $6?
Twisting arms, that's how we did it.
Wow.
No, it's gonna be significantly
You gotta
different than.
find your,
Keep twisting.
so you guys keep work with what you got. Don't come after, but
I mean, okay, one of the items in this budget is a second school resource officer for the school system. Is that, currently, we do not employ that person. I'm throwing out some of the things that are there.
Military people that can do that.
Is it, are we concerned about the safety of our kids at the public school? And do we need that second school resource officer?
Why don't we do that?
That's-
That's something else.
That's the question.
keep
Pardon?
that and
Why don't we do that and get the second officer and cut something else?
Cut
in?
We need a $20,000
office renovation for the city hall?
Well, that's out of.
cut the
what we're
code
talking about.
enforcement. I could look right here and tell you a whole bunch of workplaces you can cut.
Next year, we're gonna have a mayor for the day.
Guys, honestly, and Mayor, with your permission, I mean, if there's no more direct comments related to this
We
budget,
can make
and
it
we want to talk
without
about
the code
it,
enforcer.
we're at the point that we kind of need to move forward. We're an hour and 20 minutes into talking about this. What we would like is a motion to approve, I'm speaking for Larry at this point. Larry, you want to speak for yourself, or you want me to keep on talking for you? A motion to approve this budget as it is presented. We will bring back the rate increases in the ordinance forms at next meeting to adopt, but this will let us move forward. If that doesn't happen and we can't get this passed, we do have a second option to move forward tonight on that. But I would say let's start with this point.
And of course, the
and see
budget
what we
can be
do.
amended at any time.
Yes.
It can be amended at the next meeting. It's just we have to have
We have to
a
adopt the
budget
budget.
that doesn't have, that's what?
By the 23rd.
No, but it's gotta
We
be.
cannot have a deficit
It's gotta be
fund
balanced. We
balance.
cannot have a deficit balance. We have to have it in place by June 20.
By June the 23rd.
I know where you guys are going, I have a legitimate question.
I wanna ask you, is it okay if those that haven't had a chance to speak get a chance?
Yep.
Oh.
That's what I was.
Yep.
Oh.
I just wanna make sure that they get, whoever hasn't had an opportunity gets an
I've
opportunity.
been asking.
Yeah.
No, I know you have, but I was making sure we weren't cutting it short for emotion. That's all.
Has everybody had their chance to speak?
Is there anybody else?
I'm not speaker, my name's Brian Wilson, and you can throw numbers at me all day long and it just goes right over my head. I see what I see, and what I see is Walmart left. There's a reason Walmart left. The Budweiser plant was supposed to be like a central location, wasn't it? Where are they at now? They're gone. There's a reason why these places are leaving. And it's because everything's going up. You can't bring people in here and expect them to buy a house and then charge them through the freaking roof and expect them to stay. You can raise and raise and raise, but if you keep raising, you don't got nobody here, you can bring in all the businesses you want. But everybody's gonna leave because they can't afford to live here. I've lived here I'm 30, gonna be 30, I'm 39 tomorrow. Lived here my whole life. And I've never seen people leave as fast as they're leaving now. And that's not the community, because this community is great. We've had some bad stuff, we've been on the news, we've all come together, but right now, everybody's leaving. It ain't because of the people, it's because of the people in charge.
Ms. Meyer?
How much money is that gonna raise on that $3.16 you was talking about? How much money will that raise?
$93,000.
93,000?
Yes.
Okay. And is that gonna equalize our budget? Is that gonna make it, are we still gonna be in the hole?
Whenever you take in the water, the sewer, the administrative increases, and the demand, we will still be short about $30,000 in our operating budget between the PMA and the general fund.
So that's not gonna fix it?
That still doesn't get us to balance. That gets us to a close enough number
Okay.
that
I'm
that
just
we
gonna
can
throw,
work with.
I'm gonna throw this idea out here, and if you won't like it. Why don't you, all the council people work for free. You work for free, and Mr. Pennell worked for free, and Bryce worked for free. That ought to cover that 93,000 and the 30,000, until we get this straightened back out.
Good plan. Let's vote.
That saved us a bunch
Vicki,
of
have you
money.
ever worked for free?
Yes, I
For the
Yes, I
county,
have.
you work
Yes,
for
I
free
have.
for the county?
I
I do
have
plenty of
yes,
volunteer
yes.
work. You've worked for the county, you've been an ADA for the county for free.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I have worked for.
I've done plenty
I
of
have worked
pro
for
bono,
free
I
for a
write
lot of
checks.
people.
Do I write checks, Betty?
Yes, you do.
Do I own property here?
Yes, you do.
Do I pay utility
Yes,
bills?
you do.
Okay. I mean, you know.
Did Betty work for free for council?
I mean,
But I have worked for free for a lot of people for free.
me too.
Seriously.
Me too.
Me
Bunch
too.
of us have.
Not me.
I'm just saying, if that's a way to balance the budget.
Maybe 20 out.
Take a pay cut.
And you'll just turn the lights off.
We're close enough to 10. I mean, I can.
So one of the
They don't
problems,
understand that.
Russ, one of the problems we have, obviously, is a time crunch.
Yeah.
By state law, it sounds like, we have to adopt a budget by June the 23rd. I think the issue we have really, I think what I've heard, I have a feeling most of us have heard, is that people want to see it be more streamlined. We can use the word cuts or whatever it may be. And there's probably, everybody that's on this council would probably say, there's probably some areas that we could streamline, whether it's through attrition, whether it's not doing this or not doing that. But can we do that legitimately in the next 4 to 5 days?
No. I mean, I'll tell you no, but the budget can be amended at any time.
There you go.
I mean, at any time, the budget can be amended.
But I do believe, and I think, I don't know who, we've had a lot of discussion, that it should be an ongoing discussion throughout the year, so that we do not sit here next June the 18th with some kind of crunch, because there probably will be, let's be honest. There's not many cities, and there's not many schools, and there's not many county governments that are just pouring in the dough. That we should not be faced with making those kinds of difficult decisions, because some of these decisions might be people's jobs,
Their homes.
their homes. And I do not feel comfortable as a council member to sit here tonight and to say, I'm going to cut $330,000 in the next 5 days. Larry, figure it out. And he comes back to me and says, I've cut 5 positions. I can't do that. I cannot do that.
Nor can I.
Now, I can say that I might be in agreement that we can reduce 5 positions as we go throughout the year. So we're not in the same circumstance next year. But I cannot, in my own conscience, make that decision right now. I cannot. Because it's going to affect people, because there's not enough, Russ, help me, there's not hardly enough dollars in the general fund to even get to the level to pay what we need to pay. The only way you can get there, in most cases, Russ, please correct me because I'm not a financial expert, is through personnel, salary, wages, insurance, cut people. That's it. And I'm in full agreement with everybody that comes, and I appreciate it, because I hear you, and I have a feeling that other people hear you, but we don't want to take that lightly either. I don't want somebody to come to my shop tomorrow and say, I've lost my job and my family has no money. because you made a rash decision. I will not do it.
Well, when do y'all start working on the budget? You know, I think last month was the first time that really Perry saying, okay, we're gonna finalize the budget. That was last month.
The budget.
First draft of the
is
budget
every
started in
month.
April. This is version 6 of the budget that you guys are dealing with tonight. Version 1 of it started in April.
But you've known a year now that Walmart's gone, and, you know.
And we made the
But we never,
adjustments.
Perry, I don't think the Perry people hear about what you all do behind the scenes.
It's public.
Well,
I mean, people can come every single week. People can watch on PEN. I encourage you to do that. And if you don't like something or you want to be involved in it, I would welcome anybody here, or welcome you to come to my shop and speak to me personally. How many people in the last year have spoken to me?
0.
0. 0.
And I've gone out and asked people, what should I do tonight to work on this budget? What do you want me to do?
Where are you
How
going to
is the
find these
best way to
people?
go?
Where are you going to find the people when you go ask? The
I
coffee shop?
ask friends, I ask acquaintances, I
Go
ask
to work,
folks.
go to where we are working. We're working 10-hour days. Go out there, go ask the people. Go to your district people and find them and ask them. Not in the coffee shop, those are retirees. Go to where people are working. We're all up at 5:30 in the morning at work.
We're all working
I was
too,
just
though.
saying.
Yeah.
This is our second job.
Yes.
There's
There's other things to do, whether they have a community get-together for each ward, something. And so we do a community effort where everybody gets together, and so your ward has an evening on a certain day. And go and have a town meeting, enjoy it, find out, ask what your people wanna know.
good point.
We really need to, because you're not talking for us, and that's why we're here. And there needs to be more, but we all have children. My kid goes to bed at night, so even in summer, but they can't be here. So we have to have you go to the people.
Good point.
That's your jobs. Sorry.
I can go along with that.
With all due respect, it's a two-way street.
Sure.
And you have my number, right?
Yes, Shelley, but it's too
Okay.
nice. And I don't want to be ugly, you're my family. These people, I don't want to be ugly to either, but I don't want to be blown over either.
Yeah.
You're not
I don't
blown
think
over.
I don't think you have to be ugly to express your
No.
opinion to someone.
Yeah.
I
I've
would
heard
say
it this afternoon.
people tonight were very
We heard
respectful.
It was really bad.
People
And we
tonight
did
were-
hear it.
were very respectful. People can disagree in a very respectful manner. I'm not leaving here tonight with any bad feelings about anything that was said by anybody here. I appreciate the feedback. So a call to me to complain about something or whatever is what I would anticipate and expect.
So many people have issues over the real estate now. We're wondering why they're being bought. You know, those are our dollars being spent, not yours. They're yours as well, but it's a large community to be spending that kind of money without our permission.
And my only thing would be, we need to know that.
And
We
have-
need to know that as things, it's a public meeting,
Are you publishing it all in the paper or
Yes,
where?
well,
Put it on Facebook?
I think it's been,
that's-
I think, Gloria, you've kind of transferred it to Facebook because of the paper coming out only twice a week in the summer.
Right. So a lot of us don't take the paper, we don't have time, we got kids and events as well.
It's also on our website.
And it's just, it's got, something's gonna change, we have to come up to the times, something has to change.
We have many, throughout the year, public hearings about different issues. Most of the time, we have that much participation. We have our representatives on a state level and a federal level who come and say, we're going to meet and we want to hear your concerns. They might have 10 people. If I call and say, hey, I'm gonna have a public meeting and I'd like y'all's input, come on down at 7 o'clock, I'm gonna be real interested to see how many people actually show up.
I'm going to defend you on that because I can tell you over the years, there's very few people who come down here on the Monday night meeting time for the council.
Zero.
Not zero.
You
I'm
come.
here. Betty's here. There's a couple, 3 or 4 people that do come, okay? There isn't anybody else here, okay? And it's here on Monday, the 1st and the 3rd. It's the same every month, no matter what. So that's not an excuse, I'm sorry. It's here and it's available to whoever wants to come. And you all have always listened to anything that I've had to say. I've appreciated that. You haven't liked a lot of things that I've said, but you've listened, okay? And you listened respectfully, so I appreciate that.
And it's on TV, and it's on TV, and if you don't see it on TV or you don't get that channel, you can go on the web and pull it up.
And I think I speak for all of us to say we're thrilled to death to see the group of people show up here tonight, because we can all check on Facebook and we can see all the hating and the keyboard ninjas and all that stuff, but folks, we're all in this community together, and this is heartwarming to me to see that people are showing up and have a face and have a voice and have questions. That's what it's all about. So thank you all very much.
We don't like what we have to do tonight as far as doing the budget.
No.
But we gotta do something, and we gotta make it work. And that's what we're here to do, and we appreciate your input. And
We got to take action on item 11. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, on resolution 2018-07, which is the budget, I would like to amend the document we're given first. In section 2 at the bottom, I would like to remove the words "or from one department to another within a fund." And my reason for that is, this council must always know what's happening with the budget. So this makes it, bring it to us. And secondly, well, just, I'll stop there. With that amendment in mind,
That's your, that was what you,
with that amendment in mind, I would motion the approval of resolution 2018-07.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Do we need to take the $20,000 out of the numbers?
It's out now.
It's not in this document?
It's in here.
it's in there.
Yeah,
But
it's in
I'm-
here.
I'm pretty certain it's in here.
That's what Larry wanted it, Larry said, we can take it.
So does that need to be amended is what I'm asking?
Go ahead.
You know, technically, do you want to change your motion?
that's what I'm asking.
Earl, to add in the deletion of that 20,000?
No, I think I want to leave the 20,000 there with the instructions, don't spend it in a hurry.
Okay, so
Use
is
it
that
as
part
a
of your
cushion.
motion?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a second to that motion?
that's not satisfactory.
This is to me amending from right now.
Okay, I'll take out the 20,000.
And that's part of the motion?
Yes.
So removal of the 20,000, and what's the category of it?
It's in capital outlay,
Okay.
available to City Hall, or renovation.
Renovation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Then motion is second. Further discussion? Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
No.
Gilbert.
No.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Morrell.
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
What do we need, Russ? Pass the budget.
Appropriation of money.
So how many do we need? 6?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes,
How many do we have?
5.
We still don't have a budget.
As stated, we have one. If you voted no, then you got to have a place you want to get the money removed. So tell us where it is.
I'm gonna keep going it all
Well,
night.
guys, what I do have then if this budget does not pass, and instead of belaboring a whole lot of time picking and choosing, we've prepared a second document. The second document is a budget that pretty much adopts flat exactly what 2018 is. So there are no increases, there's no capital outlay, there's nothing else. Budget is where we can adopt it. We have then identified individually each of the add-on items that were included in this document. And we can go through one by one and determine which pieces we want to add into that budget. And then I can give you the associated cost as we do that, and then run that number out. And that would be, like I say, it'll probably take us about an hour to get through those one by one. Maybe we can do it a little quicker, but would that be better and more amenable to you guys? All right. May I stand up for a minute or two while we get that out?
Would you make a motion?
Huh? I don't believe we need a motion, do we, to look at another option? Or do we?
No, you can continue working on the budget, but that budget resolution failed.
All right,
Essentially, that issue
1, 2,
failed,
3,
so we can move
4.
on to the next.
There's 4 that If you will, whatever copy you were looking at, just throw that one away so we don't get confusing pieces running through. I want to make sure we have
Okay, so we're only.
This is where the good stuff goes. You guys can't leave now.
This is what we're gonna be talking
No, I
about.
do want to point
The
out.
one I just handed out,
Okay.
please
Point
keep
of
that in
order.
front of you.
Point of order.
Point of order here.
We have one member of our council not here. We can move this to another date when that member can vote.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, we
Thursday
probably-
night is the only night I have this week.
And I
Still
don't have
left.
Thursday night.
So-
I'm passing a much larger.
Let's get it done tonight.
Get her done.
All right.
Yeah, we gotta get her done tonight.
This is a handout to go along with that sheet. So, let me explain as I'm passing these out. Effectively, what I did was I took the 2018 budget exactly as we're operating now. Positions exactly the same. If it's funded in this year's, if we funded it last year at this time, that is what the base document is you're starting with right there. What we've taken out is the capital outlay items that, of course, were one-time items and don't end up as current year expenditures for this budget. So just in summary, yes. Just in summary, right now, based on where the budget's set, actually, I need to wait on Derek and Shelley.
Yeah,
Well, if you're gonna wait, I
and
gotta go with you.
Go,
yeah, you're gonna have to wait
All
for
right.
me too.
take a minute.
You take it to
It's 9 o'clock.
5.
We'll be out of here by midnight. Who's out of here by midnight and I've got it.
Larry, as I told you, bring the Jones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab some energy.
I might just stay awake, might be easier.
Take on another.
Any Jack Daniels?
That's all we need. I mean, spend this way then.
Somebody needs to run that.
Three Sisters.
Does anyone need any more water?
Yeah, thank you.
No.
Earl?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Maybe.
Dixie.
I didn't call for a different one.
Been here before for better.
Oh, me too.
A long, long time.
I spent $50 in there.
I need more chocolate. Oh, the dark ones. I'm the dark guy.
Well, I'm just going. So I just told him.
Okay. Brian, the other Brian. Too many Brian's.
Right.
We didn't listen, we didn't listen. We got one at the table, we got that one, we got Thomas, and we got Wheaton.
No, you can't get paper, you can't print.
And if I said Brian to you, which one am I talking about?
Maybe Brian E., Brian G. Policeman.
But I wanted to get a hold of you before.
I was really glad I saw
Don't worry
you.
about
I
that.
didn't see it till later, that's why I saw
Brian
it.
C.
Yeah, the problem was, we were at Tina's sister's house, and we barely even get any kind of internet or anything, which is great. You know, kind of disconnect, but we went to a coffee shop that has, I think I'll just check my email. And there it was, I was like,
Thank
oh my
goodness.
gosh.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I had to send them all the text and say, give me your mom's order. You should have heard.
You just think, at least you had an alternative. Well, tomorrow, it's just, here you have 40 lunches.
Wow.
I don't know if you're ready to just get back. You've been discombobulated because of the kind of situation.
Oh, 5 years, okay. I didn't even know why.
Yeah, since he was 14. So we were just discombobulated, trying to get back in the swing,
Of
not ready to
course, because that
focus.
just throws.
Yeah, we were at the hospital at 1:30 last night. It was, so, but I mean, we're not dealing with what they have to deal with.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my gosh, my heart just goes.
Yeah. And all 3 kids were in the car. I mean, it's a miracle they were killed. Because when Jeff called me, he was at the accident, obviously very distraught. And he said, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm afraid all 3 kids are hurt. And I was like, what? I think Brandon's dead. I'm like, what? But Lincoln, he had Arnett scratch on him. Sierra got released last night on 3, and I'm sure she's sore, but she doesn't have any.
It was the other 2 with him?
Brother and sister.
Yeah, that's what
All
I
3
saw
kids.
that, oh my God. Oh my
So I
God.
think they did.
Did you see
They did probably full speed.
Oh, good.
She does.
No, I don't know if she kept her. No, she's from Stillwater. She'd been up to Ballpark.
96
Because her grandson.
We were home waiting for the
Because
kids.
I was looking for when they could jump out. 8 o'clock, everybody's listening.
All right, Mayor, we ready to jump back in?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna stand for just a second, if y'all don't mind. In your chair, 2 documents. The first document is what looks like all the other budgets that we've handed out. I just took the memo off the top. This is just the summary page and starts back through. You get all the same detail, everything runs out the same. Second document is the legal page. What we did was we took the last budget that we were discussing just a second ago, and we extracted all of the add-on items that had been put into that budget. So this page represents all the add-on items. This page, this document represents what is currently adopted as our budget for 2018. So if we just, you could say, pass this, we go on down the road, we don't have to change anything else. You know, there's no utility rate increases, there's nothing else. At the end of the day, we will have about a $40,000 surplus in our general fund and enterprise funds, if you net them out from this document. I didn't worry about changing transfers and doing all that. Those are items that I will do here in a minute whenever we get ready to finish this process up. If my computer actually installs the updates that it, why random updates at 9 o'clock at night? Don't they know we're still working at 9 o'clock? But that's an IT issue. I'm gonna make Derek address that with Windows later. Bottom line, if we start with this document, we have a general fund deficit of about $24,000. Our utility fund right now has a surplus of $144,000, and the airport fund has a deficit of $78,000. You net those 3 numbers together, that's that plus $40,000 that I was talking about. So I want you guys to know, we're starting with that. We can spend $40,000 off of this list and not cost us another penny. We don't have to do any utility rates, the first $40,000 we spend. This list is made up of about $693,000 worth of items. Some of these items we've changed, some of these items we've already talked about and haven't done. So I'm gonna start down through this list. The way I like to do this is we call this the cafeteria plan.
Can I say one more thing
Yes.
before we move on? We have 40,000 at 90%.
At 90%.
If we happen to make 100%, we would then have a little over 100. 110.
110,000.
Good.
Yes. Yep. So, the margin of deficit that I'm happy with is that
I agree. I
$50,000.
agree.
But we'll get, but yes, we would, if at 100%, we
I
would
just want
have.
to be clear on that.
Yeah, we would have 110,000. So literally, I've kind of divided this up into personal services, contractual services that were added on, and then all the capital outlay. Because I think we talked through those one by one. The columns, as you kind of go across, I've tried to identify exactly what it is. The requested dollars, the center manager's CM priority is what Larry has prioritized these as. 1 being the most important, 2's being middle, and 3's being the bottom of his list as far as things that need to go, along with then his justifications. I will take care of making the net adjustments, and maybe if one of the girls were actually watching, they would make these for me as we talk through, and
Sure hope they're watching.
Meredith or Tracy, I guarantee you are watching it at home trying to figure out where this is, because I just texted and said, going the wrong way. So we'll get this figured out. And then I gave out there just effectively a percentage increase that it results in utilities. We've talked about doing it as fees. We'll talk about how you all want to do that here in just a second. But that would be as if we increased all utilities by that percent. I wanted to give you a reference so that you kind of knew what that number represented.
Some of these things were already taken out of the one we just talked about.
All of these have come out, yes. All of these.
No. I mean, so, like, didn't we say the airport assistant manager was already taken out of the previous one we just talked about tonight?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
that number, yes, coming out. So the first one is the assistant manager position. It's been included, it's been considered. Another assistant out at the airport. We've got city managers documentation. Somebody say in or out, and we'll take a head nod and walk it around the room for a minute here.
Can I say what cannot come out on these 2 pages?
Sure. Yeah. I
Or
mean,
you
it's
gotta go
your
through all of
budget
them,
at
Larry?
the end of the day.
Let me go to capital outlay.
Okay.
Okay, under city, the first four items, computer replacement, antivirus software, server warranty, software maintenance, those have to stay in. Those are IT infrastructure issues from Joel Hall. Okay?
Thank you.
Now, on the second page, police, server and recorder, those are liability issues that if we were to have an incident, one of those craps out on us, we have liability issues. Okay? They also have to be in sync, and if one of them goes out, we have liability issues again. So 911 and the recorders have to be in sync, all right?
Okay.
Those two need to stay in. Fire, chief, the self-contained breathing apparatus. Our guys go into a burning building, that has to stay. Radio repeater. They hear this thing all the time when they're in bed, at sleep, at home even. That needs to stay in so that they can have some peace of mind and sleep, actually. Am I correct, chief? Okay. Other than that, y'all go to it.
I'm sorry, that last one was the SCBA and the radio repeater?
That's correct.
Okay.
Both of those? Both of those need to stay.
Can I go back to the first page? I somewhat understand the software, server warranty, server maintenance. Why does the computer replacement have to happen?
Because they're 7 years old, and we use these for our utility billing and our customer service. They're in the compartment, and Joel says they're on their last leg.
That's a large dollar amount, I think, to pay for two computers. Has nothing to do with you, I'm just saying his number.
No, that was his number.
So that's about 51,000,
Yes.
if I calculated that right, Larry.
So let's see,
I mean, I might be off, but
I think it's 45, or rounded up to 45.
I said 51, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's 45 rounded up.
Just from the numbers I'm using.
The numbers are
that's
small.
high. I don't know what to say.
They really
They're getting
are.
smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Somebody else who's better
Well,
at it to do it.
I had this on letter a while ago.
No, it's not your fault. I think it's called aging on my part, so I'm just gonna re-add them, because I may have missed something that you said.
Computer again, on the first page, capital outlay, city.
Those first four.
I get
The first
51,800.
That's right.
51,800,
Yeah.
yes, is what those totals come up to.
And let me add one more thing. On the first page, library, $975. And again, this is for software and hardware.
Yeah. It says computer infrastructure, is that, do we understand if that's just for maintenance fees, or what is that? You know?
Joel requested that, not me.
Okay. I went back through my notes and see exactly what it was, and it's not identified other than the computer infrastructure, but I can certainly ask you.
Okay. So, from the city manager, $51,000.
So we're over.
We're at, we've already spent by 40, we're now at 10 in the hole, starting at that point. Okay. The first one is the open position of assistant out at the airport.
I'm guessing, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody here, this is a question really, but by what he just said, and if we agree with that, the talk's over with on what we can do, because it's spent, right?
That's what I understand.
Okay. Well,
I would almost, the thing I would almost entertain at this point is that we do those things. I would like to maybe talk to Joel about the it's 2,700, but about those dollars. And then the 975, but other than that, from here, I feel like we need to keep the list and talk about the rest of our planning session. If things go better throughout the year, as he said, we can amend it and add some of these things back.
Good deal. Make that motion.
Yeah.
Is that feasible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion that we do it with those items that he mentioned at 51.8
8.
51.8.
plus the
The
975.
975, yeah. So you wanna do the 52,775?
With 52,775, is
Yeah.
what you said?
Second.
No increases with the budget we have here, and at our planning session, discuss the rest of these projects and discuss priority and any other opportunities.
Well, we'll have to go back to them and tell them there's nothing in there. It'll just delay the union.
Thank you.
Keep going?
Yes.
And evaluate at that planning session opportunities to streamline as well. And then decide throughout the year when to amend the budget when we have the money.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Second.
It's a long motion. Sorry, Dixie.
Would you repeat that?
Do you need more? Do you need to say anything else again?
I've got approved with the items Larry mentioned at 51.8 plus 975 for library for a total of 52,775. Discuss the rest on priority at planning session, evaluate opportunities to streamline a planning session. So, good, or do you need to add more?
So, the only other thing would be Earl had in his remove.
Oh, yeah. I'll add what Earl had recommended as well.
Okay.
And
Or
would you do
or
that?
from
Can't
one
transfer
department
bet-
to another.
And this-
Transfer between departments
Yeah,
without
yeah,
bringing it
I
back.
haven't dug through this
That happened.
completely since it's pretty much the same. We still have the 20,000 for the Main Street and Chamber, and then the 10,000 is included as well for the museum.
Yes.
No, the museum's not in there.
The museum is out.
Museum's
The
out.
museum's
Museum's
out. And
out.
actually, there's 25,000, I believe.
No,
Taken
no,
out.
this went back to the 20,000 that was flat for those two.
I'm with you. I want to give more to them. I just don't know if this year that we can go back up where we're at.
I guess my point is, I go back to what Jim has said. We have tremendous momentum now.
They have the momentum with the 20,000, I might point out, and they are doing a bang-up job. And I know, thank you can only go so far, but we have a number of people here that are willing to volunteer for what they've said.
Okay, good.
And I do greatly appreciate them, and it's nothing against you guys. I want to get it back up to 30 where we were.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we don't, let me get this, so we don't want contracts with fire, police, or we just tell them that this year's the nothing year? I mean, is that what we're
My
doing?
understanding, doesn't the wind farm cover the firefighter?
Yeah, but you haven't included that back, you haven't included that back in.
Well,
Yeah, we've pulled we pulled that out.
I mean, fire is out, but it's
okay,
paid
well,
for.
But you said it's paid for, so if it doesn't come out of that 40 that we're talking about, I'm willing to do those.
Okay. Then we would add the fire step plan adjustment.
But that
Because
does
it's paid
not,
by
to be
different-
clarified, that does not come out of the 40.
I have not budgeted the $20,000 extra revenue, so yes, we can add that and your 40 will still be
Okay.
the same.
Okay.
Well, could we do the police officer too, so I could get a contract with them?
That's 12.5.
Police officer is 12.5 and step plan is 25.
But the firefighter's paid by a different fund, correct?
Yes.
Fire, yes. it's
That's
paid-
covered.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
The
covered.
question really is whether we want to put
I
12,500
appreciate you all
out
too.
for the
I'm not-
police step.
Right. You know, I mean, theoretically, if you don't, I mean, I'm not saying what they're going to do, but it can become, I mean, that's where we got them to. No, you know, I shouldn't be talking about this open, but, you know, and we're talking about budget, so I gotta talk about dollars. But
Well, if they grieve us, it'll take, the attorney fees will take care of that.
That's exactly, I mean, you're gonna be,
In a
you're gonna
heartbeat.
be paying that out, and we can get a contract.
Generic less included for safety.
And I would recommend that we get a contract with both police and fire. I mean, they're the ones that, the state says
I
that we
changed
have
my
to
motion to
contract.
include that as well.
Okay.
And that's the people.
So Russ, if we add that back in,
No,
that puts us up to what?
10 will be a deficit of 22.5.
And that's okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can live with that.
Okay.
and
I can live with that.
that does not include, to clarify, the 10,000 for the museum.
It does not include 10,000 for the museum. No.
And it doesn't include either of the school officers. I mean, I understand the
I thought the
extra
school's
ones
gonna pick up the tab on.
They're only gonna
on half
pick
of
up
it,
half
so
of
it
one.
doesn't pick up the other half, but,
Sorry.
No.
no, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
I think they should pick up the whole tab since we paid this last year.
I think the county needs to be involved.
All right, we have
Yeah.
a motion, right?
And a second.
And a second.
Can you re-describe the motion? Sorry.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, I'll repeat it. So the motion is to include, to approve this budget, including the items that Larry suggested that had to stay. Also, the step plans, and brings us up to what total?
A deficit of about 22,000.
Deficit of 22,000. Did I say enough?
And
Was that enough for a motion?
And the add in.
And his clause.
Earl's
Oh,
clause.
Earl's,
Earl's
and
clause.
that we talked about the rest of this at planning session. There we go.
Yes.
Everybody out there understand what we're up to? Everybody but Ms. Byer?
I know you're probably sick of my questions, but could other things be considered, like how much city workers drive the vehicles home and things like that to save additional dollars where you're not really affecting somebody else, you're just saving some money here?
That would be part of what we talked about as far as streamlining, I would think.
Darn sure can. You bet. Have a motion and a second. Roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Yes.
Hildreth.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. We have a budget. We're legal.
See how easy
Now, see, that only took 30 minutes.
Good job.
Yes, very good there. Very good.
That wasn't me.
We can move on now to item 12, which are the amendments to that current budget.
And I'm gonna address those real quickly, because I know you guys don't wanna hear me talk for a long time. All of the items that are included in these budget amendments are items that you all have previously approved or have previously heard us talk about in the financials, because sales tax is up, utility rate here is down, all of those things. There's nothing of shock, nothing new that you all honestly have not addressed already with that. There are potentially, we did not reduce expenses in excess, where potentially we were gonna come in $5,000 short, in this department or that department, because they didn't spend it all finishing up the year. Because there are still some things coming in June that we can't, I wanna leave enough, it's not fluff, but I wanna leave them enough that if they did go out and have a major breakdown, that they still had a little bit of money in their department to do, to fix a vehicle, or to do a repair, or to do something like that. But everything else, honestly, has been constricted down to pretty much what the operating dollars are. It will not adversely affect our fund balances. In what we looked at, Earl's question was, where are we gonna be as far as these roll forward and starting fund balances, it does not affect those. Those appropriations we'll take care of and lapse those over. So-
Motion approved.
Second.
Earl, roll call, Dixie.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, thank you. We'll move on now to item 14, since we approved 13 earlier. Consider approval of certain city contracts and resolutions. A, consider approval of tourism department contract with the Perry Chamber of Commerce. We got that in our budget currently at $20,000, so we don't need to, we do need to approve this.
The contract as provided is within the budget limit.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Motion to
good.
approve A.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. B, consider approval of service contract with Main Street. This is $20,000.
Motion to approve B.
Second.
Roll call, Dick.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item C, consider approval resolution 2018-06 of the mayor and city council of the city of Perry, Oklahoma, supporting participation in the FY 2018-2019 Oklahoma Main Street program.
Motion to approve C.
Second.
Roll call.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item D, consider approval of contract for services with David Payne as consultant to the Perry Planning Commission.
Motion to approve D.
Second.
Roll call.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. E, approve a contract for services with Perry Senior Citizens Incorporated.
Motion to approve D.
Second.
Me too.
Multiple.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. F, consider approval of agreement with Northern Oklahoma Development Authority, better known as the Cherokee Strip Transit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. G, consider approval of contract for services and lease agreement with Wheat Heart Nutrition Project Incorporated.
Motion to approve G.
Second.
Roll call.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Consider approval of tourism development agreement, the Cherokee Strip Museum, item H.
The funding is not in the budget for this
Okay.
one at this point.
That is out.
Yeah.
I just, before you guys make a motion, that funding is not in the budget.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 15. Acknowledge receipt of permit of SL 00052180359 for the construction of 3,450 feet, linear feet, of new 8-inch PVC sanitary sewer line, 100 linear feet of 8-inch HDPE sanitary sewer line, all appurtenances to serve the city of Perry.
Is this a relining?
This is phase 3.
This is all phase three is relining?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, this is just receipt of the permit to
Right.
move forward.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 16, consider approval of a bid and approval of agricultural lease on the South Commercial Park property. We received bids from the leasee, Kyle Haley.
He was the only good.
We only have one.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I had some discussion on that.
Okay.
Just for
Okay,
information.
sorry, sir.
But anyway, before we vote, there will be a corn maze built on that land and for the October holidays. It'll probably start in mid-September and be cut down by October or November 1st.
So I won't have to do that in my backyard then.
Right now, it's gonna be a corn maze, pumpkin sale and all that out there.
It's economic development.
I wanted you to know that, so it's not a surprise. Take the vote, roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. All right, item 17, consider approval of payment of invoice in the amount of $25,786 to R.L. Shears Company, P.C., for participation in the topographic survey of Phase 3 of the sidewalk project. You see here that the payment for the landscape architect for topographic survey work performed in Phase 3 sidewalk project. The amount of the contract of all services is $103,871.20. Invoice was included, we need approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Lacey.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 18, consider submitting a letter of interest for nomination to OML Board of District for the District 7 and authorize the mayor to sign an appropriate resolution to support such a member of the city council. Former president of OML, Ponca City Mayor Homer Nicholson, is interested in retaining his seat on the OML board. If any member of the city council is interested, they should submit their name.
Let's just send a letter supporting him.
All right.
Second, if we need motion. If we don't, just,
Be nice.
We'll give him a chance to go.
Okay. All right, cool. We're good. You just need to know.
you want it?
Nobody wants to volunteer.
All right. All right. Number 19, consider approval of 2018-2019 workers' compensation renewal with Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group in amount of $190,453 or $1,393 less if escrow credit is used.
Motion to approve using the escrow credit.
Have a second? Yes, Shelley. That's with the escrow credit. Vote.
Goldar.
I'm gonna ask a question. Yes.
Gilbert.
Workers' comp. I have a question.
He said vote, so. I
No, it's all right, go ahead.
I didn't. I thought the recommendation was not to use the escrow credit. No, I guess I read that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, just to use it.
Yep, okay, yep.
All right, roll call.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Number 21, consider approval of invoice of Melberger, Brawley for feasibility study for the grade separation bridge between the roadway and the BNSF railway to amount $25,950.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Number 22, consider approval of contract with Evans and Associates Construction Company Incorporated for the 1120 North 7th Street grading and drainage improvement project in the amount of $8,550. Did I get that out right?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor, could I ask how much the reduction in price was?
Reduction in price?
Yeah.
From 15,000
It
down
started-
to 8,500.
Oh, yeah, start 15.
14,700, 14,900.
So there's a $6,000 savings for us, right?
Yeah, and just the mobilization cost.
Did you
Yeah.
note that? Jackie, did you note that?
I've already written it down.
Good.
Good job.
We twist them when we can. Any new business need to be brought before the council this evening? Any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, roll call, Dixon.
We need to finish
Yes.
PMA, right?
Yeah, we gotta go to PMA.
PMA. Just sit on
Franklin.
now for a
Don't
moment.
run off.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah. On PMA,
We were all over the place.
Number 7.
yeah, we're going from, number 7 is next, but it's gonna be number 6 now. So if we're going over to item 7,
Okay, you have to wait till I get back up.
oh, you gotta go back here.
It's gotta scroll, it's 20 pages now, I'm fine.
She needs a better computer.
We don't need to do 6?
6 was a recess.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay, I'm with you.
Okay, first we're gonna.
Yeah. Motion to reconvene. Motion to reconvene into PMA.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Lerner, Gilbreath.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo.
I think I've lost it.
Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah. We're gonna consider approval of budget amendments to the 2017, 2018 budget.
We need to do.
No,
We're gonna
item
approve the budget
6 was
first, right?
approve the budget.
No,
Then we're going to,
6 was
we're gonna do 7.
going to recess.
We're gonna do 7 and then go back to 6.
That's the way he told me a while ago.
My 6 is
Mine,
budget.
6 is budget, too.
That's why I
That's
asked.
what's in the
Okay,
packet.
well,
I'm with
we wrote it
you,
in. We
Derek.
wrote it in.
He wants me to do 7 now, then go back to 6.
Okay.
That's what I just
Oh.
read.
Okay.
All right.
You just want to make sure that gets done.
No,
Budget
it's
amendments,
confusing, but
same
that-
thing as what I said 2 minutes ago.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, Dixon.
This is item 7 on mine, just so you know.
Okay, budget amendments.
Yeah, budget.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbreath.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Now we go to 6. Consider approval resolution number 2018-01 of the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Perry Municipal Authority approving the 2018-2019 budget and appropriating the revenues for stated purposes as contained in the budget, directing the trust manager and secretary to take any and all actions as may be required to implement this budget.
Do I have to say the same thing again?
Again, I want to remove that from one department to another within a fund. It's in section 2.
Yes, section 2.
Say ditto for me rather than
Same,
motion.
same motion as I previously motioned, and that will include Earl's.
Okay, roll call.
Wait a second.
Oh, we got a second?
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbreath.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Now, folks, any new business need to be brought before the authority, Perry Authority?
Well, I was gonna bring up a few things I wanted to talk about tonight.
You're out of here. You're out of here.
12 minutes is up.
Oh.
I'd just like to reiterate thank the folks who showed up for our meeting and hope they stay involved.
I echo that.
Item 10,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
roll call, Dick.
Goldar.
Yes.
Gilbreath. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.